MBR, nothing but rants, show where I find topics that I'm rather passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I am hot about.
Nothing but rants.
Hot takes.
3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. You know Brooks finna cook, let him rant. Try to do it like us, but you can't. Stay the young, going dumb with the chance. Big plays lead to even bigger bands. What's up? What's the word? What's the play? What we talking about? On the scene with the team, yeah, we popping out. NBR, let's get it, let's go. Film guy, get on ready for the show. What it is, what it ain't, what's happening? We gon' hit you with the stats and the facts, man. NBR, let's get it, let's go. Film guy, get on ready for the show. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Hey, shout it end zone dancing. We about to start it up, it's the anthem. That right, big rings got me handsome. Hold them up like we came for the ransom. I'm in the field, 2-minute drill. Highlight reel, let's review, what's the deal, okay? Watching footage going out of control. Buckle up, we got an hour to go, so let's go, that's straight heat. Ain't no chillin' around here, back that back, Nat Chance, how we feelin' around here? Got my whole squad in the building around here. If my name ain't on it, then I really don't care, come on. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. The beat on the beat, hey. Yeah.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Camera, dude. Why don't you shrink a little bit?
You want me to shrink? That's what you're saying?
You're a little too tall, man. You're a little bit bigger than Brooks.
How you doing, Kirby?
I'm doing good, man. I'm also very zoomed in right now, so we're gonna have to adjust some camera angles on the fly here. But
yeah, not your typical show if it's not obvious enough already. Usually the opening shot pans into our boy Brooks, the host of the Film Guy Network. And if you're kind of new to this channel, you're probably like, hey, where's the guy that breaks down the film? The guy that brought me into this channel, made me love all this content. Now I'm tapped into the live show as well. Our boy Brooks is over at the state high school championship games right now in the state of Georgia, so he's viewing that. We have an unofficial national title game going on tonight between Buford and Carrollton, I believe it is. So
that's what I heard.
That's where Brooks is at right now. So me and Kirby are holding down the fort tonight. We might get a special edition of Brooks at some point tonight, show live from the bins. But for now, it's just going to be me and the boy Kirby. But it's a typical show, all right? We got NBR right now. We got tons of topics that we're going to hit about. We got another quarterback that has entered the transfer portal that we're going to talk about. A school that you might need to keep an eye on for Dylan Raiola, one that we didn't necessarily talk about last night when we mentioned all the quarterbacks that are entering the portal. The ACC is back on this bull crap, Kirby. I don't know if you saw this, but the ACC doing some foolishness right about now, so we're going to hit on that. You already know that Biff Poggi had to make the headlines today on this show, so we're going to talk about him, love up on him for some of the things that he's having to handle over there on Michigan while that entire fiasco is happening. Arch Manning coming back to Texas. That was official during last night's show. Didn't really get to talk about it, so I figured that we would discuss that, what it means for Texas, all those good things. And then it's bowl season, Kirby. And, you know, that used to mean something in this country.
It still means something to me. Don't worry.
I'm glad. You know, I think it means something to me. It means something to you. So we're going to talk about it, but we're not just going to talk about some of these other bowl games, not the playoffs. We're talking about the actual bowl games, and we're going to hand out some superlatives for them. And I think we'll have a fun time with that one. We have some kind of off-the-wall ones that we'll hit on. But as we always do with this show, hey, before we get into this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, chats flying around, all that good stuff. Hope you guys hang in with us tonight, even though Brooks isn't in the studio. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, I feel like we need to set a timer for just to go off every minute and 30 seconds. Just say, hey, Brooks isn't in the studio tonight, because I know very well that pretty soon we're going to start getting chats. Where's Brooks at? Why is Jwill at your seat? So
I've taken the new role of being the film guy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just a student of the game, did not play any football, do not claim to be the film guy or anything like that. Just a substitute in the chair at the moment. But like I said, it's a typical show for us. We're still going to be bringing some premier content tonight. So like I mentioned earlier, let's go ahead and do what we always do, Kirby. We start with the news first. Some rather big news here in the state, actually. Aaron Philo, the Georgia Tech quarterback, plans to enter the transfer portal. This seemed like something that might happen as Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator for the Yellow Jackets, he's headed on down to Florida with Summerall to be the offensive coordinator there, was a former offensive assistant at the University of Georgia, then spent 3 years actually at Georgia Tech. Now going over to the Florida Gators, and potentially Aaron Philo joining him. You know, this was a guy that was lined up to take after Haynes King, the guy that many people love over there at Georgia Tech. I mean, that's a legend, Haynes King, that is. And it seemed like Aaron Philo might be on that same track. Not very often for Georgia Tech. Don't mean to speak down on the program right now, but not very often where it seems like you kind of have this lineage of quarterbacks building up in your program. But Brent Key, the way that he's built up that program, the great things that he's doing for them, it looked like that was bound to happen. And now looks like they're going to lose Philo and probably going to go to Florida, right? Like that's kind of the assumption here.
It doesn't make sense for it to be anything other than Florida. This, like you said, this kid was lined up to take over the Georgia Tech job. Everyone was talking about how he's going to be the one to really revolutionize this offense, where, you know, Haynes King, as great of a quarterback as he was for the Yellow Jackets, was kind of limited as a passer, kind of had a certain skill set that had to be catered to. Aaron Philo, he holds the record for passing yards in a game at Georgia Tech. He did that in, I believe, one of his first starts. So the future seemed very bright here. For him not to be starting as Georgia Tech's quarterback next year and entering the transfer portal, it's got I'm leaving to go play for my OC's name written all over it and play at a bigger SEC school. So, yeah, it seemed – I would be shocked if it's anything but Florida.
Yeah, and it especially seems like that because this news came after the news that DJ Lagway was leaving the room. And that's – I mean, now Florida has other options at quarterback. Like I know a lot of people down there really like the Tramel Jones kid. He got some playing time earlier this year in moments where they had to bench DJ and some mop-up duty as well, and they seem to like him. So Florida has other options, but – it just kind of seems like a guy that has rapport with Buster Faulkner, already knows the system, knows the offense, and has been successful in his offenses at that as well. I mean, this guy set school records in a start this year, throwing for, I think, over 300 yards in a game. So it's been a very successful story for him already. It just kind of makes sense that he would make the jump over to Florida. And I think that there's already been some wording out there that he wants to go play in the SEC. Like that was one of his reasons that he wanted to enter the transfer portal. So Florida's in the SEC. I don't see him going into any of these other schools. Now, he's a state of Georgia kid. Georgia doesn't need a quarterback right now, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just seems like Florida is the destination that he will end up choosing. But, I mean, things could quickly change as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe Summerall and them have a great conversation with Tramel Jones. They really like him. Maybe they don't take him. They like it's so many other things that could happen. And it's so early in the process, too, because the transfer portal hasn't even officially opened. I mean, these are, and that's why it's worded the way of intends to enter the transfer portal because nothing is official yet. But I mean, this one seems like a way where it's going to be. This one's signed, sealed, delivered before it even opens.
Yeah, and credit to John Summerall for getting this done fairly quickly. So we think, obviously, I know we're talking like this is already a done deal and it's set in stone, but it kind of feels that way. Assuming that Aaron Philo is going to Florida, credit to John Summerall for getting this all to happen because we kind of were taken aback when DJ Lagway announced he was entering the transfer portal earlier this week of how, you know, he wanted to be there. He wanted to remain the quarterback, but it felt very much like Summerall came in, sat him down, chewed him out and said, yeah, if you don't want to be here, you can leave because we're going to go get our own guys. So credit to him for immediately going and finding a guy who everyone kind of understands that this Aaron Philo kid is a really, really good quarterback. There are people arguing while Georgia Tech was undefeated this year that he needs to be starting over Haynes King. So really good move by John Summerall, kind of the first roster acquisition, if you will.
Yeah, and I guess the more interesting part about all of this is like, is it going to lead to more Georgia Tech players entering the transfer portal and then also going to Florida? Because, I mean, not that this matters anything, but I mean, Aiden Mizell did enter the portal as well, a Florida wide receiver. So they're losing other offensive weapons. The biggest one that they're kind of keeping an eye on, and I know there's been some reporting already about, is Jaden Baugh going to enter the portal? I don't know anything there, but that I mean, the entire season, everybody's been saying, oh, Jaden Baugh, that guy might be entering the portal this year, but maybe they can hold on to them. Maybe they had a good conversation with him. Maybe Jaden Baugh really likes Buster Faulkner and really likes what they're planning there with Summerall. So if they can hold on to him, that would be the biggest piece that they could keep on that offense. But other dominoes are continuing to fall on that roster, as you would expect with any program that has a head coaching change. But maybe like if Philo does go to Florida, that might lead to some other guys at Georgia Tech saying, hey, I'll go down there as well. They might need some room at wide receiver. But I would say, Jaden Baugh, then also Dallas Wilson. That'll be the other big piece that Florida really wants to keep. I mean, a talented freshman who didn't get a whole lot of playing time this year because he was injured. But, I mean, he went off against Texas earlier in the year, was a huge impact for them. So they would certainly like to keep them. But, I mean, that whole roster was just banged up at the end of the year. So it's kind of hard to gauge exactly what all you're getting.
And it's impossible to figure out where everyone's going to be going when they enter the transfer portal. I mean, I know we talked about this earlier in the week, but no one really knows where Dylan Raiola is going. There's kind of inklings here and there about, hey, this might be the next school. I think we actually got a report that Louisville is now circling in to be potentially the next landing spot for Dylan Raiola.
Mm-hmm.
Joining Jeff Brom at the Louisville Cardinals for the quarterback whisperer. I don't understand that one. I felt like if Dylan Raiola was going to leave Nebraska, it would be because he felt like he had outgrown that. The system wasn't fitting him. What does the Louisville Cardinals offer you right now that's going to be, I'm competing for a national title contention? Like, it's kind of the same thing that Miller Moss did, where it's like lateral move at best. You went from starting quarterback at USC to now. Now, I understand Miller Moss got beat out by Jaden Maeva, but I don't get this one.
I mean, I kind of get it just because they like Louisville does have a little bit of history when it comes to like producing quarterbacks into the NFL. Like, and I know that Jeff Brom is not connected with the likes of Teddy Bridgewater or Lamar Jackson or any of those, but Miller Moss had a relatively successful season this year. The Cardinals have been in the mix for an ACC title. They were one of the upper tier teams this season. Seems like good things are happening there. And what this tells me is like with them getting Miller Moss, and then also now it looks like maybe they're going to get Dylan Raiola, they're willing to pay top dollar. And Louisville is not one of these teams that just kind of like that thrifts, if you will, at certain positions. And quarterback certainly appears to be one that they don't chump change anybody at. Like they go after big boys. They take big swings because at a program like Louisville, it makes sense because that's one of the biggest pieces that you do need to have, especially in the ACC. Like if you have good quarterback play, it'll take you a pretty long way. So it makes sense why Dylan Raiola would be one of these targets for them. Now, whether or not they're able to outbid the likes of Miami, if they're in the mix for that one, or I don't know, even like a Baylor. I don't know what Baylor has going on, but I mean, they're going to lose Sawyer Robertson. That seems like maybe, or not Baylor, sorry. That's more of a DJ Lagway lineage right there. But, Virginia Tech, like they had this anonymous $20 million donated to their program. Anonymous, which I don't understand. Like you're going to donate $20 million to a program. You think that company or whoever it is would want their name plastered everywhere for it. Maybe they will. But, you mean dirty money, you think?
I'm not going to throw any accusations.
James Franklin already doing dirty things at Virginia Tech?
No, dude. James Franklin would never do anything dirty at Virginia Tech. Nothing ever happened at Penn State.
But yeah, I mean, certainly like, and when we were talking about Dylan Raiola entering the transfer portal and like the potential landing spots of where he might end up, it didn't seem like that this was one that he might end up at, but Louisville is certainly entering their names yet again in the transfer portal quarterback market. And I think it'd be a great fit. It'd be a great land for Louisville. I mean, the plan probably is only 1 year for him, right? He just wants to play one more year, then go off to the NFL.
I mean, history states that he's not going to stay there longer than 2 years anyways, but it does very much feel like, all right, where I'm at right now in Nebraska, I'm not going to be doing my draft stock any favors. I thought I could come here and be the star of the show and really elevate this program. That ain't happening. Let me go somewhere else that at least somewhat is in contention for college football playoff games for, they compete for the ACC much more consistently than Nebraska competes for the Big Ten. Let's just take a lateral move that puts me on a better national stage where I can boost my draft stock. That's what the move feels like. I don't think Dylan Raiola has a major urgency to compete for national titles. I don't think that he's necessarily concerned with winning the Heisman. Yeah, if you can do all that, that's great. But this is a I'm going to go get paid and I'm going to increase my draft stock move.
Yeah, and Louisville is one of these teams. Like I remember looking at their roster in the offseason, and this is a I don't want to call it makeshift because it's not that. That kind of sounds demeaning to the roster, but it's a makeshift roster from transfer portal acquisitions. Like, it's a bunch of transfers, and it's not just any type of transfer. It's guys that have experience. It's veterans. It's guys that have been in college football for several years. And Dylan Raiola certainly fits that archetype for them. Like I said, like those guys in those offenses typically put up good numbers. Jeff Brom is, I'm unofficially, I'll say, named the QB whisperer. That dates back to an ESPN article that was written during the offseason that Jeff Brom is a QB whisperer. So I'm not going to do the whispering like Brooks usually does during these segments. I'll save you the ASMR content there, but it creeps you out.
A little bit, yeah. I don't want to be whispered to by another person.
But at least for us, it's not like in our ear, but for our audio listeners and people at home listening in AirPods, I'm sure that feels quite intimate.
Audio listeners at home, do you guys like when Brooks whispers into the microphone and talks about Jeff Brom? If so, we'll tell him to keep doing it. If not, maybe we'll pump the brakes on a little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, still a long way to go before all of these transfer portal entries become any type of official and where like the recruiting really starts to heat up. What will be interesting, and this is always an indicator of tampering is happening in college football, and like these deals are made prior. And I know that Brooks sent a text in our group chat the other day. There was a player that entered the portal, and while you can't necessarily contact players yet officially because the rule states that the portal is not open yet, but the player's agent is immediately tagged underneath the tweet of like, he is represented by so-and-so, which that would be the way that you contact them about that player. You don't have to contact the player. You just go contact the agent. So I'd imagine that probably some of these quarterbacks, I mean, the portal is going to open day one and it's going to be like, okay, here they are, like rattling off the board. They already found their destination. They're committed. They're going elsewhere. Because, I mean, the idea that college football programs are going to sit on their hands for 3 weeks or however long it is, like from the end of the regular season until the beginning of January, the idea that college football programs are going to stay quiet, obey the law, and just sit on their hands and wait for everything to become official before they contact a player and like really start recruiting. Like, it's bogus. Like, that's never happened in college. Would never happen in college football.
No, if you think anyone in this league is following the rules or one school is breaking the rules at an exponentially higher rate, there are some that do that. But no one is a clean whistle, buttoned-up program that follows every single rule that is given and doesn't tamper and doesn't pre-portal and doesn't do all of these things that bothers us so much when they happen. Anytime a high-profile recruit goes to another school, they paid him off. That's ridiculous. Your school does the same thing. Anytime a starter enters the transfer portal midway through the season or something goes awry, tampering, where did this come from? Your school does the same thing. So it's nothing to worry about. Or not, I shouldn't say worry about. It's nothing to get up in arms about because everyone's doing it right now. Mm-hmm. And there's not going to be any governing body that stops it. We thought that it was coming this year with the NCAA, legal issues that were coming down from the Supreme Court. That didn't happen. Nothing's changing in college football. It's only getting faster. And it's only getting more hectic.
Yeah, I mean, I know at least I have fallen victim to it of having hope that things would change in the right direction and things that would get better. And you know what? Maybe it does. Maybe a year from now, the dust settles and we have a more concise version of college football and a better version of it than we do now. Like, that's always the hope, is that the product only continues to get better. But I mean, I would say for like the last 5 years, really since like the transfer portal started to heat up and then you introduced NIL and all these different things in college football, expanded playoffs, like it feels like we've been heading in the wrong direction in a lot of ways. But, maybe we can find a way to set some boundaries and get people to obey those boundaries. But for now, it's just the wild, wild west. And especially in this time of year when it comes to players entering the portal, and I mean, a ton of players. I mean, so many players entering the portal trying to find a new home. Things are just going to get a little hectic, and there's no way for anybody to mandate any type of rule because of that. Like, there's too much going on. There's too many things to deal with that you can't possibly monitor every single college football program across the nation and make sure that they're all doing the right thing. It's just not going to happen. But again, just to kind of recap, ACC team, potentially a landing spot for Dylan Raiola. And speaking of the ACC, Kirby, is this the dumbest thing ever? One of the dumbest things that we've seen from a conference in a long time.
Educate me.
So the ACC, like every other conference at this point, at least Power 4 conference, they announced that they're going to be moving to a 9-game conference schedule. Sounds nice and simple. Everybody plays 9 conference games, right? The SEC is doing it next year. They're moving to that model. They got all kinds of new schedules that they released. Got the official schedule just last week of knowing which opponents are going to play. All this stuff because the Big Ten plays 9 games. Everybody's got to play 9 games. So the ACC says, hey, we'll join in on this. We'll play 9 conference games. Except not everybody's playing 9 conference games, Kirby. Only a select few of them are going to play 9 conference games next year. The other 5 or however many it is will only be playing 8.
Why?
Well, I'm glad you asked why, because I also wanted to know why. So let me read you this snippet from this On3 article written by Alex Byington from On3. Alex B. We'll call him Alex B.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex B. from On3. This is from his article, a little snippet in the paragraph that says this. The ACC previously announced plans to adopt a 9-game conference schedule on September 22nd to better align with the rest of Power 4 conferences after the SEC had formally announced a 9-game conference schedule beginning in the 2026 earlier this season. But given the unbalanced nature of conference with 17 football teams, the league will debut a new schedule structure during a transition 2026 college football season designed to balance competitive equity, honoring existing non-conference game contracts, and account for league's unique 17 footprint, according to the release. So to encapsulate all of this, these are the there are 12 teams that are going to be playing a 9-game conference schedule next year. Cal, Duke, Louisville, Miami, NC State, Pitt, SMU, Stanford, Syracuse, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. 5 of them will not be. They will be playing an 8-game conference schedule next year, and that includes Boston College, Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and North Carolina. I don't know. Now I understand. You got 17 conference members. It's an unbalanced number, all this, that, and the other, but I just stay at 8, in my opinion. At this point, people already alienate you, the ACC. You ACC folks, people already say you're really not connected to the rest of college football. People view you differently than everybody else. So to heck with them and just stay at 8. Don't do this funky thing where you're putting some of your conference members at it. How does this even work for a conference championship? How do you even measure that? Is a team that only plays 8 conference games viewed the same as a team that plays 9? How do you compute that?
Here's how we fix it, and we'll do this. There's 2 solutions here. I'm going to list the first one out, and I like this one more. The ACC looks through its 17-member schools and goes, all right, let's take a trip up to Boston College. And they sit down with all of the Boston College members, the president and the head coach, Bill O'Brien, and all these other guys, and say, listen, guys, does anyone sitting in this room legitimately think you have any chance in hell at competing for an ACC championship this year? And everyone's going to look around and say, yeah, we believe in you. Be honest. And you go, no, we're going to go 2-10 again, probably. We're going to have 1 conference win. And they say, perfect. We're not going to allow you to be in the conference this year. You'll play a conference schedule. You'll have games. But when teams play you, it doesn't count as a conference matchup. And when you play teams, it doesn't count as a conference matchup. So that way, we technically have 16 teams this year. Sorry, Boston College. I just solved the ACC's problem. Yeah, Boston College fans are going to be upset about that. Guess what, guys? You weren't going to compete for an ACC title anyways. We don't need you messing up things. Just go to 16 teams. Or there's another thing we could do to fix this.
I'm glad that you mentioned this, though, because this is the really interesting part. And this means that somebody is on the chopping block. What you're talking about, Kirby, it's going to happen, because the next paragraph in this article, beginning in 2027, the ACC will transition to 16 teams playing a full 9-game conference schedule, with 1 team playing 8 league games, while also scheduling 2 additional non-ACC Power 4 opponents to accommodate the conference's new policy requiring each team to play 10 Power 4 games per season. So in other words, someone is about to be told that they are not the same as every other conference member, of everybody else gets to play a 9-game conference schedule except for 1 program. And they're going to pick 1 program and say, you don't get to abide by all the other rules that these conference members do. You're going to play an 8-game conference schedule. And on top of that, you got to go schedule 2 more Power 4 opponents outside of the schedule.
I was doing that as a joke. The fact that that is actually what they're going to do to solve this issue. Wow. I don't understand why did you settle at 17 teams? Why did you say, let's go get 1 more? You know what? I blame Notre Dame for this. You could be team number 18 right now. You could be at the top of the pack. You would probably be in the college football playoff right now. There would be no ACC scheduling issues. You would not have this, we're being treated unfairly. And I know that you guys are on not speaking terms right now between Notre Dame and the ACC. Just shut up and get together. It's better for everyone else.
I love this take.
This is the classic, the parents can't get along and they're fighting, so we're going to ruin the child's life because we're divorcing. Just stay together. Just stay together and get together for now. It's fine.
I love this take. The fact that We just went and talked about how the ACC is the fool. No. Notre Dame is to blame. This is all Notre Dame's fault. If Notre Dame would just join a freaking conference, we would have 18 teams in the ACC right now, and we wouldn't have to do all this hoopla. We wouldn't have to have one team in 2027 playing an 8-game conference schedule while everybody else is playing 9. If Notre Dame would just get some kahunas and join a conference, everything would be okay.
And by the way, Notre Dame, your schedule's not going to get much harder by playing in the ACC. Oh, no, we have to play Florida State or Clemson one year or Miami. Guess what? You're already playing Miami this year. It's not like your schedule's getting that much harder. You're going to play some middling ACC slop and one or two teams that'll be pretty decent if they're having good seasons. It's not like the ACC is full of killers. It's not 2013 where Clemson's really good. Florida State's got really good. Like Georgia Tech's even got some guys on it. No. This is a very, very middling conference, and you would absolutely run shit every single year if you joined it. You know what we need to do? We don't need to force Notre Dame into this and bully them into doing it. We need to make this seem like a business proposition. Guys, it's smart for you. You do it in basketball, it works out well. Do it in football. It's going to be great.
Great news in Notre Dame, too. Here's the other business proposition of this. Northern Illinois is in the ACC.
Or neither is Marshall.
Neither is Marshall.
Sound
kind of enticing? I don't know.
There are a ton of unranked teams in the ACC, though, and that probably scares Marcus Freeman.
I mean, look at it this way, Notre Dame. On one hand, you could continue to play Marshall or Northern Illinois in your makeshift whatever hoopla schedule that you make up every single year. Or on the other hand, you could have teams like Pitt, who was one of the top teams in the conference, and you completely dismantled on the road this year. One game you play a whole lot better than the other two. So just join the ACC, help them out, let them play have every single conference member be able to play 9 conference games. Everything is solved. You're in a conference, so we don't have to write in this silly rule into the college football playoff memorandum, whatever it is, that you get an auto bid if you're ranked inside of the top 12. You're just in a conference, so you have a conference title. You have your way into the playoff automatically. I mean, everything would be fixed. There would be no issue. There would be no Notre Dame was snubbed. None of this.
I don't even understand what the logical reason to stay outside of the conference or to stay independent is anymore. It's not like you're ducking and dodging big, scary teams. It's not like going in here is going to punish you. If this were the 4-team college football playoff, Notre Dame would never even sniff.
Yeah.
So I don't even understand this. Just join the conference, guys.
But they're the brand, Kirby. They are college football. When you think about college football, you think about Notre Dame. That's who you envision in your mind, right?
No.
Like when you're sitting there in the month of July, you're almost walked through the entire desert, which is the off season, and you're thinking about that first week of college football, how excited you'll be. You immediately picture Notre Dame playing week 1.
All right, you know what? We said this was Notre Dame's fault. I'm going even further down the rabbit hole. This is Ronald Reagan's fault and Rudy Ruger's fault. If Ronald Reagan didn't do that dumbass win one for the Gipper movie and Rudy didn't come out, people wouldn't talk about Notre Dame as this otherworldly, incredible brand. It would be like, yeah, they were really good back in the day when, no one watched college football and they were the only ones on national television. Guess what? Swanee used to be like one of the best college football teams in the world. The problem is we got Hollywood behind Notre Dame, and that has lasted them 60 years of, we're a national brand. We're instantly recognizable. This is ridiculous, dude.
Oh, man. No need to get all political, all right? We're just talking football.
I blame
right now.
Ronald Reagan for the current state of college football, and you can't stop me from doing it.
A reminder to everybody, since we're on the topic of Notre Dame, we haven't done exactly a great job of pushing this, but remember, we're having the Pop-Tart pop-out party, whatever you want to call it. Everybody needs to be watching the Pop-Tart Bowl this year because Notre Dame was too good to play in it, and they think that because they're not in it, those ratings are going to go down. They're not going to make as much money because Notre Dame isn't in it. No, that's bogus. Everybody's going to watch the Pop-Tart Bowl this year and shove it to Notre Dame fans and say, no. That's not how this is. You're not as big and as bad as you think you are. You're not as important as you think you are. You're not above everybody else. This is college football. We love college football, and you're not college football. You're not the epitome of college football. You're just in a group of everybody else that plays college football. We love the sport, not you.
Some on-topic breaking news. Jeremiah Love has unsurprisingly announced that he will be declaring for the NFL draft. So his career at Notre Dame has come to a close. Man. If only we could get to see him tote it one more time in a conference championship or a bowl. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. He wouldn't have played in the bowl game anyways.
No, surely not.
Oh, well.
Right? No need to. No need for him to go play in a bowl game. Would he have gotten your Heisman vote? I know this is off topic, but
dude, here's the thing: there wasn't anyone this year that was worth my Heisman vote, I think we can just chalk it up and say, you know what? Fernando Mendoza was on one of the best teams in college football and had probably the biggest moments all season. Statistically wasn't that impressive, didn't really do anything on the field that was like, oh my God, how is he doing this? He's the best player in college football. No one was that this year. I think we can just look at this year and go, it wasn't a great year for the Heisman and leave it at that. Congratulations to Fernando Mendoza. You absolutely deserve this trophy. If Fernando Mendoza played in any season in the last 15 years, he would not be a Heisman winner. There's nothing wrong with that. So
it is kind of funny, though, to think about. Like, I started thinking about this today because I just have I actually thought about this yesterday because someone had the nerve to say that Stetson Bennett regressed under Mike Bobo in that offense, even though Mike Bobo wasn't the offensive coordinator. And I was part of the offensive staff when Stetson Bennett was at Georgia, but I had the nerve to say that he regressed despite the fact that he was a Heisman finalist. And so I went back and screenshot his Heisman season and was like, I don't know how you call this regression. Like, it is funny to think about how many people who finished second or third or even fourth probably in Heisman races in previous seasons would have been hands down unanimously the Heisman winner this year because they put up way better stats. Like, Stetson Bennett had over 4,000 passing yards that year, had 27 touchdowns. That's not even counting his rushing numbers or anything like that. Like, would have undoubtedly won the Heisman this year, but he finished fourth that year. Like, Max Duggan would have won the Heisman this year if he had that season this year. Just didn't have one of those years where, like, typically, like in the Heisman season or like any college football season, you have like one or two or even three candidates. Like, these guys are somewhat neck and neck. Like, it's usually boiled down to two because of how like the final stretch of college football plays out and all of those things. But this year it was just kind of whatever. And I don't want to say that the Heisman has like lost meaning or anything like that, but when was the last time you watched the Heisman ceremony?
Last weekend.
Oh, you watched it? Do you watch it every year?
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's Saturday night. I just got finished watching Army versus Navy. I'm going to rot on the couch and just watch the Heisman ceremony.
I think the last time I watched a Heisman ceremony was when Derrick Henry won it.
Oh, wow. You've been protesting, dude.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I've been protesting it. I think more so it has to do with the fact that it happens on a weekend where it's kind of like a breather weekend. So typically things are happening on a Saturday and I just get a little too busy to watch it. But like the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to watch the Heisman ceremony and I have chosen not to. And it's not to say that I'm just boycotting it or anything like that. I don't know. Like it just doesn't draw my attention like it used to. And maybe that will change. Maybe we'll get another strong group of candidates next year and like Jeremiah Smith will be in the mix or things like that will happen. But over the last couple of years, I don't know. I just haven't felt compelled to watch it. Like, because it hasn't been this thing where I'm sitting on the edge of my seat really wondering who's going to win the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, but that's never been the case, honestly. Like I feel like we've always gone into the Heisman ceremony going, oh, we know who's gonna win. Joe Burrow's winning it, Lamar Jackson's winning it, Cam Newton's gonna, like, there's never been mystery, in my opinion, of who's actually gonna win the Heisman Trophy. So
yeah. All right. Well, we're halfway through the show, right, or at least NBR right now. If you're catching up right now, you're just now joining us. No, I am not Brooks Austin. Brooks is at the state championship games in the state of Georgia at the moment. So he's catching that right now. Me and Kirby, we're the ones in the studio working, making sure that you guys get the content that you so desire throughout the week. So yeah, just to catch up on that, Brooks not in the studio. The producers holding it down tonight.
You know what I love about this show?
What do you love?
More than anyone else, because you've got these, big national shows that we hope to be one day that talk about all the brands. And it's ironic that we just spent 10 minutes talking about Notre Dame, but talk about all these big national brands. And no one pays attention to the little guy, but we do. Because guess what? On Saturday, December 20th, the Harding University Bisons are going to take on the Ferris State Bulldogs in the Division II College Football Championship.
We're going to talk about D2 football
We're going to talk about D2 football.
We're going to talk about D2 football the night that the D2 football player is not in studio.
Yes.
Oh, that's how much we love ball. Continue.
Right. And this was not even prompted by Brooks. He was like, hey, guys, we need to show love to the D2. This is us. So, obviously, Saturday, we have the D2 National Championship. Earlier this week, the Ferris State head coach, Tony Anise, had some rather large accomplishments to give his opponent, the Harding University Bisons. He said, quote, I'd rather play Notre Dame than Harding right now, just so you know. It's obviously challenging. We played them 3 times. You got to be sharp in every aspect of the game. We got to be disciplined on defense. The hope of stopping them doesn't really exist. You just have to slow them down. Now, as a Division II college football coach saying that he would rather play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish than his national championship opponent in the Division II. And I say all this to kind of hit home the fact and bring home the point that coaches lie at every level. They are so full of crap, and there's so much to decipher and say, oh, wait a minute, this guy's not actually telling the truth. This is coach speak. I'd rather play Notre Dame. Now, we just spent 5-10 minutes bashing Notre Dame about how they're dodging being in conferences. Notre Dame would do unspeakable things to Ferris State on the field. It would get biblical. So I just wanted to point that out to know that, hey, for as much as we talk about how the college football sport is really bad, it's in a bad spot right now. NIL is ruining things, the transfer portal, all this. We've got problems at D2 as well because these coaches are lying out of their mouths.
Do you think that was him saying he'd rather play Notre Dame, like taking a shot at Notre Dame, or do you think that this was also just a way of him saying, I'd rather play Notre Dame and get $2 million for playing Notre Dame instead of doing this?
Yeah, it is interesting to be like, I'd rather play Notre Dame.
Now, he said that these teams have played 3 times this year.
Yes. That was the interesting part of it, of like, oh, maybe we had a conference championship rematch and a regular season rematch, and now we're in the national title, stuff like that. But the fact that you would rather play a Division I school that's inside the top 20 in rankings easily is rather surprising. How good is Harding University if that's the case? What are they doing in D2?
I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I want to do some research on Harding football right now, just to kind of see like how much of a powerhouse is this.
Who has a better chance? And you know what? Maybe he said this because, oh, Notre Dame loves losing to these G5 teams. Maybe the D2 guys can get some luck in here.
So Harding is like that. Their wins this year: 49-7, 55-0, 31-12, 24-7, 65-0, 35-7, 35-10, 55-0, 69-0, 52-14, 47-13, 38-16, 37-21, 34-28, 49-27 in the semifinal round of the D2 playoffs.
Yeah, give me the Catholics.
So in other words, what the head coach is trying to say here is we're going to get our ass beat no matter what, so it might as well be from Notre Dame and we get a check. Nicely put there.
Some indulgences, if you will.
I mean, dude, I guess Harding is the guy out there in D2 football. Now, Ferris State, I mean, that's a quality D2 school as well. I mean, for those, if you remember correctly, Trinidad Chambliss, that is where he came from. They won a national title last year as well. So it's not like that Harding has just been running the D2 football scene for the last 10 years or whatever. I mean, Ferris State is a good program of their own right, but I guess this year they're just better than everybody else.
Either way, shout out to Harding State, shout out to Ferris State. Good luck this Saturday. Do not sleep on D2 football. And you know what else you should not sleep on? Our friends over at Sleeper. It is a fantasy, sports, and real money gaming app that is focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. 2 of our favorite things, Jwill. It's become the fastest organically growing platform in the entire world, the entire globe, not just this country. They have over 6 million active users. I would assume that number has gone up by now, and they earn some of the highest levels of engagement per user in this industry. It's not just about sports at Sleeper. It's about building personal connections and lasting memories. If you head over there today, right now, do it right now. Exit out of this video. Go do this right now. Use promo code Brooks. You will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. That means if you put $1 in, you will get $1 free. If you put $100 in, you'll get $100 free. If you put $101 in, you're still getting $100. It's up to $100. Listen to the fine print. They are operational in 25 beautiful United States, including the great state of Georgia. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thank you to our friends over at Sleeper. One more time, that is promo code Brooks.
You want to know how elite our chat is, Christian?
How elite is the chat?
We have information, inside information on the Harding football program right now. This comes from Mr. J Daddy 10.
Oh,
it says,
hello, J Daddy.
My friend was a DC school on Harding's schedule. He said that they were indeed like that.
Damn.
So Harding been doing it like that for a minute, I suppose.
I guess
So says the chat.
Where is that at? Where is Harding University? Might need to pull up and watch a game.
I don't know. Let's see.
Because, we are credentialed for the college football playoff first round.
are.
So I'm sure we'd have no issue seeing the Harding University Bison compete in this year's national title.
They are located in Arkansas.
Oh, little trip out to Arkansas?
Maybe, Arkansas is on the schedule. Do they play Georgia at home next year?
They do.
It's at Arkansas?
Correct.
Might have to go catch some D2 football while we're out there. Maybe a little Friday night mic'd at a D2 football game.
Dude, talk dirty to me.
Perhaps we get that in the works. Who knows? We're a little unpredictable around here if you can't tell, as usually this would go to camera one and it would show just me and Kirby sitting in the studio. Oh, there we go. That would be camera one right there. But just us two tonight. A little unpredictable, but here we are, still doing a show. Moving on in our show notes. As I mentioned earlier, Arch Manning made it official yesterday during our live show that he would not be declaring for the NFL draft. He will be returning to the University of Texas, will be the starting quarterback for them. If you remember, if you're a longtime listener here, Brooks dropped that news in the month of July. He told everybody that you're crazy for writing these articles, that so-and-so is going to tank this year so that they can draft Arch Manning with the first overall pick in the 2026 draft. It's not happening. This kid is going to play 2 years of football. He's going to start for 2 years at the University of Texas, call it done, and then go to the NFL. But it was made official news yesterday. Big news for the Longhorns, obviously, as Arch Manning, got off to a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning of the year and then really started to settle in and started playing really good football for them. Looked like the prospect that everybody was kind of hoping he would be.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway from this, because while Brooks was 1,000% right about him not going to the NFL draft, I think, and everyone who said that he wasn't going to go to the NFL draft early in the offseason was right about that. I think they were right for the wrong reasons. It was very much, no. You guys don't understand this Manning kid. He's going to get developed. He's going to become the best college quarterback he can be. That's why he's going to stay. Here we are in December 16th of 2025. Arch Manning is staying at Texas because he didn't play good enough to get a high enough draft grade. Now, there's maybe a school out there that will fall in love with, or a program out there that will fall in love with him at the combine, that would love the name and will take him in the first round. But Arch Manning is not a slam dunk home run. He is a first-round quarterback if he enters the NFL draft today. I felt like that's the takeaway of that should be is look at all you guys saying back in, August and in March about how Arch Manning is the number one overall draft pick. Teams are going to tank for him. The takeaway isn't Arch Manning wasn't ready to leave. Arch Manning wasn't good enough to leave. So that's the takeaway for me. And it goes back to, again, stop hyping things up that you don't know them about. People fell in love with the name Arch Manning and built him up to something that he was not ready to be. He might be that next year. He has everything capable of doing so. He's talented enough. He's got the system good enough. He's got a team good enough around him to do so. But it's not like Arch Manning's just doing this solely because he's like, no, I need to get more development. He probably was not good enough to get a first-round eval.
You're probably right. And you could say that for a lot of players that people thought would be entering the NFL draft this offseason and ultimately probably are not going to do. They're probably going to come back to college for another season because they didn't play good enough. They probably didn't play up to their standard. Like Sam Levitt this time last year, or a month from now this time last year, everybody was saying this guy might be QB1 next year. This might be the first quarterback taken off the board. And here he is entering the transfer portal. He's looking for a new home in college football. And, Carson Beck, he's going to the NFL draft this year, but he probably didn't play up to his standards this year. Ty Simpson looked like someone maybe who could enter the draft after 1 year starting at Alabama. That's probably not going to happen anymore. Jaden Mayava already signed, sealed, delivered his extension, if you want to call it that, at USC. The school announced. So he's going to be returning for another year. All of these names in the quarterback class that, like Lenore Sellers, that was the biggest name in this upcoming draft class. And it sounds like he's signing a deal to stay on with South Carolina at the moment. So all of these names that everybody was throwing in the pot for top quarterbacks in the 2026 NFL draft ultimately probably aren't even going to be on the board this year because they're still going to be playing college football.
Yeah, I mean, this draft class kind of fell flat on its face in a bad way, to the point where it's not even like someone emerged as like, oh, this is the number one guy now. Like, there's not really a clear-cut number one guy. Like, people are saying, I guess we're going to take Fernando Mendoza in the first round, which nothing against Fernando Mendoza, but I don't think that he's a clear-cut, this is our guy type.
Now it's like, who would you draft if you need a quarterback? Like, not to do the thing. Las Vegas Raiders fan over there probably need a quarterback, right?
Probably need an asteroid, dude. Don't get me started on the Raiders right now.
Okay, but Geno Smith not cutting it.
No.
Probably going to need a quarterback. Are you taking Darian Mensah?
No.
Are you taking Dante Moore?
No.
Are you taking Fernando Mendoza?
I'm not taking anyone in this class.
Are you taking Carson Beck? Like that's where. Are you taking Miller Moss? Like that's kind of where it's at right now for this NFL draft class at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right from a class standpoint of like, there's nothing really sexy here. There's not, we have to go get this guy. So,
yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, so despite the fact that Arch Manning like maybe wasn't good enough to declare this year, it's still kind of like it's wide open quarterback class.
Most
like
definitely.
there very easily could be a name that decides to enter the class purely based on the fact of, well, who the heck are they going to take ahead of me? Because I may have less playing time than some of these other guys, but I lit it up during my time. And friends, like Fernando Mendoza certainly lit it up during his college career. Like he played great at Cal. He had a great season at Indiana. Still not done yet either. Could go on and win a national title, all those things. And he could be the guy where it's like, he's the number one overall draft pick. But I would also say that in years prior, when you're talking about a guy that you could potentially take with the first overall pick or the first quarterback off the board in the top 10 picks, Fernando Mendoza doesn't exactly look that part. And that's not a slight against him or anything like that. This is coming from a guy that loves Fernando Mendoza, a guy that loved Fernando Mendoza at Cal. Like that's how bought in I've been on this guy for the last 2 years. So I've been very aware of how talented he is, but he doesn't strike me as a guy that I would be putting my entire franchise on. Like that he doesn't strike me as one of those guys. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does have a great career in the NFL, but doesn't seem like at the moment, at least, and it's still very early, but we don't have one of those guys yet.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a nature of NIL and the current climate of college football of it's a whole lot more enticing a lot of times to stay in college than it is to go to the NFL. I mean, Carson Beck would not have been a first-round draft pick last year, but who's to say that Carson Beck isn't the guy that's drafted in the 4th round and then ends up being a starter for a franchise this year and looks impressive, and they find out that they have their guy now. Like, you don't get that anymore because Carson Beck looked like he was going to go to the NFL draft, and then Miami came knocking on the door, and I'm taking $4.5 million now to go be a Hurricane for another season. Like, that's just where it's at. Like the North Sellers, who could very easily go to the NFL Combine this year, do all the great things, have the highest metrics of any other quarterback out there at the Combine, and have great highlight reels played during the NFL draft and get drafted in the top 3 rounds. That's not happening because he's going to return to South Carolina because they're going to pay him money to do so. So I think you're kind of seeing this because last year's quarterback class was kind of the same way where it felt a little watered down. This year's class kind of shaping up to be the same thing. You're not getting these loaded quarterback classes anymore because guys don't feel rushed to just jump the gun and go professional.
No, they don't. There's less incentive to.
Would you like to get into some bowl game superlatives, Kirby?
Yeah, dude. I've honestly been excited for this segment.
I am too.
I'm glad we're finally doing it.
So you and I both came up with some categories of how we would classify some of these bowl games. So the first one, the what could have been bowl. So that sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, what could have been a matchup that is happening. And by the way, this does not include playoff games. This is actual bowl season. All right. We got the playoffs. They don't count for bowl season, even though it's bowl games, all that good stuff. This is bowl season right here. Like this one right here. The Bad Boys Mower Pinstripe Bowl. That's bowl season right there. What could have been Clemson versus Penn State?
Oh, man.
What could have been? What could have been preseason ranked number 1 Penn State versus top 5 ranked Clemson? What could have been this time of the year if you guys played one another based on what was talked about in the preseason? What could have been for those two teams?
Yeah, I think that's probably the correct answer for that one. 1B for me is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl between the Texas Longhorns and the Michigan Wolverines. Texas, another team that felt like a shoe-in for the college football playoff at the very least. Arch Manning, Heisman contender. And by the way, Michigan, while they probably weren't going to be national championship contenders this season, had a very promising quarterback in freshman Bryce Underwood, had a lot of talent on that roster, had the ability to, hey, maybe we keep extending this win streak against Ohio State. We're at home. That program has very clearly become unraveled. Biff Poggi will be head coach in that, which there's a story about Biff Poggi coming out earlier this week that we talked about on the.
Oh, yeah. We can do a quick hitter on that, actually. This was meant to be an entire segment for Biff, but we're going to get him pushed up on some of our segments, and I really wanted to make sure that we got our bowl game superlatives. But Biff Poggi basically is being the savior right now for this Michigan football team because I'll read you some quotes that I read because he's having to stand in front of a microphone right now and talk about the Michigan football team because of what Sharon Moore elected to do. So he's the one right now standing in front of the public talking about the Michigan football program. And so he goes on to talk about how the players feel betrayed at the moment, betrayed by Sharon Moore and his actions. Like the fact that this was a guy that they thought they were going to be playing for the next 3 or 4 years or however long their careers have remaining. And now he's up and gone because of decisions that he made off the field or on the field at halftime of the Ohio State game. Because of the decision that he made, he's no longer the head coach, and they're caught in this whole whirlwind of being in the news and everybody talking down on their program. So he says that the kids feel betrayed. But then he goes on to say this, and this is just a common Biff Poggi dub right here. I don't know that you can prepare for something like this. It's been complicated. I want to listen to them. I want to understand what the kids are feeling and what their parents are feeling. And so a lot of listening, and there's been a wide range of emotions, and we're going through these steps. They're not over yet, and I don't expect them to be over for a while. The mandate that Warren Manuel gave me as athletic director when he asked me to be the interim coach was to love on and take care of the kids, and so that's what I'm spending all of my time doing.
Love on the kids, huh?
Come on, man.
No,
come on,
forwarding. But no, in this situation, I think that everything that Michigan has gone through the last 3 years, I think it's kind of lost that the players playing for Michigan get somewhat of the brunt of this, because when you are a Michigan football player, you are automatically tied into, the Connor Steins, the head coach cheating on his wife with an assistant, all of this. And a lot of these guys just want to play college football. They just want to, some of them dreamed of being a Michigan Wolverine. And right now it's staying, not through anything they've done, not through anything that's going on within the roster. It's all the higher ups. It's, Jim Harbaugh allegedly cheating. It's Connor Steins. It's Sharon Moore cheating on a completely other thing. So I do have sympathy for the Michigan roster in this situation because it's not something they asked for.
Yeah, so just wanted to give a good shout out to our boy Biff Poggi out there for just being a good human, doing everything that he can to make sure that those players are good in a good mental headspace as they prepare to take on the Texas Longhorns. Now, what's up with bowl games making these rematches? Because Texas and Michigan are going to play in a bowl game, and then they're going to turn right around and play each other next season at the beginning of the year. Not week 1, I think it's week 2. But what's up with bowl games doing this, man? Like it happened with Alabama as well, didn't it?
It happened once or twice.
Or Alabama-Michigan rematch after the playoffs, and then they played each other again the next year. But come on, man, can't we save some of these matchups? But anyways, what could have been. But now Clemson versus Penn State, man, gosh,
that one's tough.
I mean, had you told people that Clemson versus Penn State was going to be playing in postseason play at the beginning of the year, everybody would assume, college football playoffs, that's where they're headed. Nope, the Pinstripe Bowl for Clemson and Penn State. So can't wait to watch that one. Almost impressed that those two programs are even playing a bowl game, to be honest.
We'll get to that later. Don't worry.
Okay. Here's your next one. The This Would Have Been Great 10 Years Ago Bowl.
Ooh. Who do you got?
I got the Bucked Up LA Bowl with Boise State versus Washington. Now, you might need to be a little bucked up to watch this one and enjoy it, but 10 years ago, I mean, like Jake Browning at quarterback, Washington playoff team at the time, Boise State kind of always been one of these highly ranked, highly talked about G5 programs. If this was typical, like hyped up bowl season where people still cared, and you should care, by the way, but when people still cared about bowl games, this is probably one that people are talking about, circling on their calendar, like, boy, I can't wait to watch Boise State versus Washington in the Bucked Up LA Bowl.
Imagine it's the year 2015, maybe 2016, if we're being, nitpicky here. Sam Darnold and the USC Trojans are about to play Trayvon Boykin and the TCU Horned Frogs. Now, Trayvon Boykin has done some bad things after his college football career. That does not need to be ignored in this segment. I say bad, not good. However, seeing that matchup in 2015, 2016, that era when those two teams were kind of, I don't want to say at the peak, but were really good at what they were. TCU was a high-flying offense. That was a lot of fun to watch. USC was a fun Pac-12 team or Pac-12 or Pac. I can't remember what they were at the time, what that conference looked like, but that would have been a lot of fun to watch 10 years ago. Kind of an interesting matchup now, but.
I've been informed that they played Saturday already. My bowl game already played, so
it's all right.
Bowl games matter, though. All right, they matter. You better be paying attention this bowl season to these great games that we're talking about right now. Okay. Anyways. Now I'm just thinking about Trayvon Boykin highlights.
Yeah, dude.
What a time. I loved TCU so much as
That
a
was
kid.
right. That was right when like Instagram edits really started popping off. Trayvon Boykin was all over my timeline. Good times, man.
Mhm.
Again, must reiterate. Did bad things afterwards. Do not support. Do not condone those. But fun to watch.
Here's the next one. The Don't Let the Public Find Out Bowl. Now, what do I mean by that? You may not wanting everybody to know that you're going to sit down and watch this game for 4 quarters because people might judge you a little bit. People might be questioning, what's going on there? Why are you so intrigued on this one? Well, how about the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of Beans? Now, I don't know if Brooks named this bowl. Shout out Sunday headlines say Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of Beans. Just call it the Bush's Baked Beans Bowl.
How many bees can we throw in a damn bowl game?
Apparently 4 or 5 of them, however many is. But that's Toledo versus Louisville. Now, if you want to call back to earlier in the year, I was very fond of the Toledo Rockets. And I went as far as to say that they're going to be a playoff team. They are not a playoff team. Instead, they are playing in the Bush's Baked Beans Bowl against Louisville. I'm very intrigued about this one. My boy Tucker Gleason about to light it up on the gridiron against the Cardinals.
That's an interesting. Can I ask a question before we get too deep into this? How many? Who the hell is buying so many baked bean cans that the Bush's Baked Beans Company has enough money to just throw at a bowl game? And this isn't their first bowl game. They've been doing this for a decade. Are Bush's Baked Beans that popular? Are they making that much money? What's going on here with that?
I didn't even get to the best part of this game. If you want to go watch this one, don't sweat it. It ain't going to cost you but 99 cents at the grocery store because all you got to do is go buy yourself a can of baked beans, Bush's Baked Beans, that is, at the store, and that's how you get in the game. If you bring a can of baked beans, you get into the game. That's all it costs you. So cost efficient, great game. You get to watch Tucker Gleason spin the pill. Sounds like a pretty good tryout to me. I'll be locked in for 4 quarters on that one, but don't tell nobody, all right?
Very true. My Don't Let the Public Find Out bowl. It would be a very big embarrassment for me to publicly admit that I will be watching the Iowa Hawkeyes play 4 quarters of football against the Vanderbilt Commodores, given that everything that has gone with Diego Pavia in his Heisman campaign. I feel like that's one where you just quietly watching, I'm going to watch very bad offense and very obnoxious quarterback play today. Maybe I'll see a parent in the stands that I'm fond of, but other than that, no. Embarrassing. What? By the way, touching on the Bush's Baked Beans, if you don't want to buy a can of baked beans to go to this game, you can also head over to our friends over at SeatGeek, one of our favorite sponsors of the show. They have over 35 million downloads. It is the #1 rated ticketing app in the world. They have over 70,000 events, not just college football. They have concerts, festivals, other sporting events, you name it, they have it. They also offer us a deal meter. Green dots means it's good. Red dots means it's probably a little bit overpriced and you should stay away from it.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, it's super helpful. They are backed by a buyer guarantee as well, so that's great. Buy end up not wanting to go or something happens, don't worry, you get your money back. And of course, they have a code for you guys. If you use FilmGuy10, you'll get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That means a 99 cents of Bush's Baked Beans would only cost you like 90 cents, guys. Very good deal here. Again, that is promo code FilmGuy10. Thank you to our friends over at SeatGeek. All right, what's the next superlative we got, Jwill?
You know what? I think we have a special guest that's about to join us right now, Christian, actually. Should we bring him in? We didn't prepare you guys for this, but we have someone very special to us that we would like to bring in. We don't bring guests often onto this network, but today we're going to make an exception. So we're going to go live to him right now. Here we go. Let's see if we got him.
Are you going to put him on the right or left side?
I knew we were going to have shoddy service, to say the least.
There he is. Welcome in, Mr. Austin. How are you?
What's up, boys? I had to walk off the field.
Just
distracting. Several Georgia Bulldogs in attendance tonight, by the way. We have 4 commits in this upcoming national championship game, and KJ Bolden and DeMello Jones in the house. Breaking news. So there's that.
Well, the dogs always find their way to the bins. They always do.
It tends to be like that. We're gonna show the fans the underbelly of the bins. That's what we got going on right now. This is the backway tunnel. That's where the dogs won the SEC title. That's their locker room. How about that? What you boys been talking about?
Just doing some bowl games and superlatives here. I like the headphones, by the way. You kind of look like Buzz Lightyear.
Hey, how about it? Big buzz. Did I hear you guys talking Division II football?
We were.
We were talking Division II football.
Porque?
Kirby, tell them why.
Yeah, so the Ferris State head coach, he's playing in a national championship for the Division II this week, said that he would rather play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish than the Harding University Bison on Saturday for the national title. So that felt like, just to point out that everyone lies at every level.
Everyone lies at every level. That's interesting. Division II football. Hey, Jarvis Jones, that's him.
Was that Ben Wolk?
No, it wasn't, unfortunately. Jarvis Jones, how about them dogs? State title winner, first year as a head football coach at his alma mater, Carver Columbus.
Oh, that a boy Jarvis.
I'm going to try this digitally. Hey, Jarvis Jones, first state title. Let's give him 3. Not bad. Not bad at all. What else you guys been talking about?
I do want to ask you about this because I saw you hit this with a quote tweet of LOL. We talked about the bogus Fugazi ACC scheduling where 12 teams are going to play a 9-game conference schedule next year and 5 of them are only going to play 8. What are your thoughts on that?
I tweeted this. I hope it happens. Look, this is a conference that chaos themselves out of the college football playoff this year. And I'm sure you've already had this take. I pray to the football gods above that we get 2 7-0 football teams that only played two 8-0 football teams that play an 8-game schedule, and then give me 2 7-1 football or 8-1 football teams that play the 9-game schedule. Yep. Basically, where we have like 2 equal resumes, but one team and 2 teams play more games than the other ones. I root for ultimate chaos when conferences make dumbass decisions like that one. That one's goofy. That makes no sense.
That was my whole point is like, how are you even going to compute this of how are you going to compare a team that plays 8 conference games compared to a team that plays 9 conference games? I have no idea how you're going to sort all of that out, especially considering like we just are off a season in which a 7-5 football team made your conference championship game. Like, we already got stupid things happening in that conference, and now we're just going to pour a pile of gasoline on top of it and just engulf it in complete flames.
Straight gas.
We had a simple solution for all of this because this is all being done because 17 teams in the conference, uneven number.
Send Stanford and Cal and those guys back. Was that what it was?
No. Now that would be a nice, easy solution. Just tell them to get on out of here. We don't care about you. But how about Notre Dame just join a conference?
Ooh.
How about they just get in the conference? 18 teams, problem solved.
Did you also see the memorandum or the bullet point in that from the commissioner's office where they basically told teams to stop scheduling group of 5 teams because they played 10 of them and they lost to 3 of them? Did you see that? They were like, hey, stop scheduling these teams that ruin your season if you lose to them because we have a 30% chance of losing to them.
I thought scheduling the good teams was what was ruining the season. That's what Texas told us.
That's an SEC school, though.
That's it. We can't schedule good teams anymore, and we can't schedule bad ones because when we lose to them, it ruins our season.
Just line up 12 NC States. Just give me 12 NC States, and we'll play that schedule.
There you go. Now, I don't know if you saw this part about it. I don't know if you read the article about all of this, but the more interesting part about this is in the 2027 season, 16 teams in the conference are going to play 9 conference games, and there's going to be 1 ACC team that still plays 8. And on top of that, they have to schedule 2 non-conference Power 4 opponents on top of that to make up for the difference.
Yeah, look, I'm not someone who claims to be the smartest person in the world. You just blew my mind. I just lost a brain cell trying to figure that one out, to be honest with you. I really want to walk out there, but I also don't want to get us demonetized.
Yeah, don't want that.
Huh.
What are your thoughts on? You're about to watch a very massive high school football game. I mean, unqualified national title game. Some are deeming this one as well. What are your thoughts on this one heading into it?
I wouldn't even say it's unqualified. I mean, Max Preps has deemed this a national championship. So this will be for the national title, at least under Max Preps. But, dude, I have no idea. Like, you guys know my schedule. You know I started taking Friday nights off to just be a normal human being and stop working Monday through Sunday because I'm a lazy person. I like to only work 6 days a week and not 7, and I'm a bum. But I started taking Friday nights off, so I'm very disconnected from high school football. But what I do know is that both of these teams are extremely well coached, and they have a plethora of Division I athletes. I think they finally toned down some of the music So let's see if we can walk.
Oh, yeah. Give us a shot of that from the stadium, if you
So
can.
we get a cameo for some dogs right here.
Oh,
Cameo
there you go.
for some dogs right quick. This is a legend right here in his own mind. With Jeremy Johnson. What's up, big dog? All right, let's flip the camera around. We got Graham Houston right here in front of me. I don't know if y'all can see
there
that.
you go.
The big number 75 right there. That is a Georgia commit. Let's find number 3, Tyreek Green, the other Georgia commit. He might be over there. Let's walk over there. Let's see what we can find out.
Dang, they got more people there than the Falcons game.
Hey.
Come on, you know what? That's
right
fair.
next to
I
you,
took a
dog.
shot at the Raiders. You take a shot at the Falcons. We'll
So
call
y'all
it
just
even.
missed. Y'all are over there talking shit. You just missed legendary Chad Simmons. Ball always finds me every time I'm out here. Let's see here. Who we got? Oh, Tristan Gibbons. Texas A&M commit for you A&M fans watching us tonight. Is the chat enjoying this first-person view? Or are you guys just
they appear to be.
doing some work tonight?
Chat loves everything that we do, or at least I think they do.
That's true.
Mr. Day, number 18.
Let's see here. Let's get it.
Oh.
Trying to find. Let's go down here and see these Georgia commits on Carrollton's roster. Hey, look.
Oh no, did we lose him?
It seems like we might be losing
Am
them.
I still
Oh,
live,
there's
boys?
Jeff.
Yeah, the footage is starting to get a little choppy right now.
Yeah, you're starting to get a little chopped, Brooks.
I better slow down.
I mean, where else can you get just live boots on the ground footage of Mercedes-Benz Stadium during state championship week?
Oh my God, it's Sackman. Yeah,
It was Sackman. Good job. All right,
we're losing
I'm
them
almost done
pretty.
with my
We're
walk.
losing you
I'll
pretty
sit still in
bad,
a second.
Brooks.
What if I sit still? Oh, I know
That's a
why.
little better.
I know why. I was automatically connected to the Mercedes-Benz Wi-Fi, which is dog poop.
Oh yeah, that media
Is it better
Wi-Fi
now?
will get you.
Hey, I'm really excited to see this CJ Cypher kid, the quarterback from Carrollton. The Holtzclaw kid he's standing next to right there is a Division I athlete. Cypher beat him out as a true freshman. So, I mean, a true freshman with a full arm sleeve already? Wow. He's a ball player. Oh, right to us. Ooh.
Look at that. Always in the right
And there's
spot.
Peyton Zachary. Oh, another ball. Bang. Right there. Yeah, that's a freshman running back to the huddle right there, CJ Cypher. All right, let's go find Zyke and Ryan Mosley right quick. And then I'll let you guys get back to work.
All right, you do that.
All right. Let's go see. These
My
look like
favorite
wide
part of all this is
receivers
people
warming
are getting an authentic look at ADD Brooks at the moment.
Yeah, just oh,
up. Yeah,
look at this.
100%. Oh, look at there.
Look at there.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Ooh, golden 4.
What'd he say?
That's a real deep
golden
cut
4.
right there. All right, that's not the wide receivers group. That's obviously the DB group. Woo.
Can you imagine warming up for the biggest game of your life and someone goes over with a camera and goes, this isn't who we're looking for, and walks away?
My dumbass should have realized they're doing routes on there. Oh, ball. Here we go. Here's Zyke.
If this isn't the most authentic content we've ever done, I don't know what
This
is.
this is what, if you ever wondered what Brooks Austin is like off camera, this is it.
This is it right here.
I'm losing him. There's the big fella. I don't know if you can see him. Oh, man, he's going to lead the stretch lines. Dadgummit. All right, I'm going to let y'all get back to work. This is useless.
We appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to tune in with us live
You know,
on
I
the
got to
show.
work every once in a while. I love you guys. Y'all keep grinding. We'll see y'all.
See you, brother. All right.
Man, I would hate to be the furniture in Ben Wilkes' house tonight.
Why did you say that?
Tuning in and seeing Brooks just walking around, being like, oh, look, here's this. Poor guy. Free Ben Wilkes.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten our special guest of the evening out of the way, we got to hear from Brooks again live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, watching the state title games there. I would like to finish. I know that we're over time right now. We're 6 minutes over schedule. Usually we'll be talking that dog right this moment. Don't worry. We're going to get to that very shortly. But I would like to finish out our bowl game superlative schedule just real quick. All right.
We'll hit them quickly.
All right. The Channel Surfing Bowl. This is the one where it's, you're just sitting at home. You're not doing anything. Holiday season. You don't have to go to work. You're just sitting at home for the next 12 hours. And you just kind of turned it. Now, this doesn't really happen anymore because everything's streaming. Everything's you stream. You look it up on your phone. But you used to surf the channels. I know. We're the youngsters. I used to channel surf. I know what that is, all right? I even know what a DVR is. And that's kind of old school now, okay? But channel surfing where you're just kind of skimming through the channels. You're like, oh, that game's on? Sure, why not? So give me the Duke's Mayo Bowl between Mississippi State and Wake Forest. Sounds horrible, honestly, now that I'm saying that out loud. But Mississippi State's offense, pretty fun. Kamario Taylor, that's a fun watch.
Give me Pitt versus ECU. The epitome of it's an 11 a.m. kick. I think it's on December 27th. You're post-Christmas. You're not doing anything. You're just rotting, and you go, oh, there's a football game on. It's two teams I haven't watched at all. Two teams I probably couldn't name 5 players on their roster other than Pitt. But you know what? I'm going to watch this.
All right, moving on to the next one. Those teams are bowl eligible bowl. New Mexico versus Minnesota in the Rate Bowl
with a T.
The Rate Bowl.
Okay.
The Rate Bowl.
It's just the Rate Bowl.
It is called the Rate Bowl.
Is there anyone sponsoring it, or is it just like
it's called the Rate Bowl, Kirby?
Man, I could make so many jokes, but not going to.
I think that the bowl in and of itself made the joke, to be honest.
That's fair. Mine is Penn State and Clemson. Halfway through the season, these teams were like 3-5. We're like, good God, are either one of these teams even going to make a bowl? So the fact that both of these schools are bowl eligible and playing in a bowl game, good for them. That's surprising.
All right, the final one on our slate, that's a bowl game bowl. First-time viewer this year of the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Didn't know that existed. Excited to watch it.
There is a bowl game this year that is sponsored by one man in particular, and it is in a state that has nothing to do with him. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. What the hell is that? What does Snoop Dogg have to do with the state of Arizona? I can't believe it's a bowl game. Side note, what's the 68 Ventures Bowl? Was that just like, hey, we're going to make a joke where we're one number away from being really funny?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Man. We got a whole another hour coming up, and some say it's our best hour. We're going to talk that dog right quick.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to talk that dog. Now, like I said earlier during the national hour, I know we're 10 minutes over time. Usually we should be talking dog at 9 o'clock sharp, but not today. We had a special guest, Brooks Austin, who is not here tonight. So if you're tuning in right now, just for the dog talk, Brooks is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium right now. He's catching the state title games. So me and Kirby are holding down the fort tonight. So we're going to bring you an entire show of nothing but dog talk. So we got a loaded show. We're going to talk to you about how we feel about this time of year, this portion of the college football season. We're going to kind of vent a little bit, if you will. We're going to talk about which dogs could really boost their draft stock the most during this playoff stretch. You know, a lot of eyes watching these playoff games, a lot of opportunity for people to start talking about you right before the NFL draft gets here. Glenn Schuman, finally in the head coaching rumbles. He's been linked to now an open job at the Power 4 market. So we're going to talk about that briefly. Is this the most enjoyable football season Georgia fans have had in quite a while? We're gonna declare an answer on that. So let's go ahead and start with our rant, Kirby, about this time of year sucks.
Yeah, I'd like to just address everyone that we are in the middle of the college football season. There are still games to talk about. There are still things to discuss about the future, about who will win this national championship trophy. The Georgia Bulldogs still have a game. Yet, We have so much time between their last game to their next game that you run out of things to talk about this time of year. You can only do so much analysis on, is it going to be Tulane or is it going to be Ole Miss? And roster news, we all know that that's not going to be coming out anytime soon. Kirby Smart keeps that program up like Fort Knox. So you get little inklings here and there, but it's not enough to really give us true full-fledged content in the lead up to this game. So it's tough to do.
Yeah, it is tough to do. I mean, we sit here Monday through Thursday, and we come up with a show sheet plan for the national hour, and then we come up with a show sheet for the local hour, and it's an hour. We have to find an hour's worth of content every single night, and we do our hardest. Like for an entire day, we sit here and we try and add topics. Like, what could we talk about now? What's relevant? What's a good topic that we could discuss for, 5 to 10 minutes? That's what we would classify as a really good segment. And that kind of gets a little tough to do. Now, this is partially due to the fact that Ole Miss is playing Tulane. One of those programs is really the only one worth talking about, especially because we're going to show you guys tomorrow. We're going to release a rewatch of us the same way that we did the Oklahoma-Alabama game. We're going to release one of those of us watching Tulane's offense, and you're going to see why the result of that first matchup between those two teams was the result that it was, because Tulane's offense ain't a whole lot going on in that one, and Ole Miss's defense isn't all that great either. So I'm kind of expecting that one to be the same thing as it is, and we can't even talk about how we're expecting it to be a Georgia versus Ole Miss rematch. But I say all of that to say it gets a little difficult to come up with new and fresh topics. So what we have elected to do, the next 55 minutes of this show is on you, chat. So throw us the topics. Tell us what to talk about. We'll be sitting here waiting. No, I'm just kidding. That would be a horrible show. That would be the worst show that you guys have ever watched. We would never do you guys like that. But this time of year does really suck.
We are in a purgatory state where it's like you're too far away from the last game and too close to, and even as a fan, not even someone who's doing content on this, it sucks. It's like, man, I have to wait another 2 weeks before Georgia even plays. And there's bowl games in between that, but those have gotten less exciting and less meaningful. So it's kind of tough, but I'm not complaining at all. It's just, it is the worst time of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's weird that like we're in the middle of like arguably the most exciting time for college football, like especially with the expanded playoff, we get more impactful games. And it does kind of have to do with the fact that the other bowl games don't necessarily mean as much as they used to, with opt-outs and all of those things. Like you just don't get the same excitement that you do for those games as you used to. Now, for us ball lovers around here, because these are certified ball knowers on this network, we love any and all kinds of football, no matter what shape or size they come in. We love it and we watch it. But it just kind of sucks because from a content standpoint, things get like it's a little bump in the road. And that's not us complaining about our job, obviously. Like we're going to, like I said earlier on the show, like we're going to talk about Georgia football tonight like we always do and like we always love to. But it just kind of feels weird that the season is far from over. I mean, the season doesn't finish until January 20th. That's when the national title game is played. But yeah, it just kind of feels like one of those times where we're sitting here in the offseason and it's, well, what the heck are we going to talk about tonight? We got to figure something out. And that's exactly what we did.
By the way, if you're just joining us for the local hour, welcome in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe, rate, review, all the good stuff. If you're wondering where's Brooks, no need to. He is in Atlanta, Georgia right now covering the state title game, which also is subsequently the national title game per Max Prep. So it's just me and Jwill tonight on the desk. But don't worry. As usual, we still have a loaded show.
And we crossed over 90K subscribers after last night's live stream. We hit 90K. So a little golf clap for ourselves right now, a huge landmark. But as we said, 100K by the national title game. Hey, 100K before the new year. That's what I say. That's my goal. We need 10,000 new subscribers before the end of the year. 2026, we're cruising in with 3 digits, baby. 100K. That's what I want.
We're going to have to start like doing a lot of, I don't know. I'm not going to get into what content.
We just got to give them the premier content like we always do, Kirby.
Facts.
You know, some people might be splitting up the schedule a little bit, you know, doing a show here, taking a day off, doing another show, maybe taking the weekend. Not us. Not us. It's typical business around here. All right. Typical business. So as Kirby mentioned, like, subscribe, rate, review if you're a podcast listener, all that good stuff. All right. Let's get into one of these legitimate topics, if you will, for the local hour. Who could boost their draft stock the most during the playoffs? I think you've kind of seen this happen before with some players where they go, I mean, this player isn't entering the NFL draft and didn't enter the NFL draft last year, but we talked about him last night, Sam Levitt. This was one of these stories where
absolutely.
he lost a playoff game And all anybody wanted to talk about how it was Sam Leavitt could be the first quarterback off the board in 2026. Now he's in the transfer portal, but that's neither here nor there. There are a lot of Georgia players that will be draft eligible by the end of the year. So who would you say in your mind could increase their draft stock the most over this 1 game, 2 game, 3 game stretch, whatever it is going to be for Georgia? Who could benefit the most from these next games?
I think that, first off, interior defensive linemen are always one of the most valuable positions in any part of the sport, whether it's college football, high school football, professional football. Christian Miller is a guy who has absolutely cemented himself as a, at minimum, day 2 draft pick guy. I feel like if you have enough havoc plays here and you put enough really, really solid tape on in big college football playoff games, in some of the biggest matchups against other premier offensive lines, he could sneak inside for a, top 50 eval, which he might already be, but you could certainly cement that with a handful of really strong performances, which he's had all year, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. The name that I'm going to give, I would say that this is the number 1, because when you start playing these higher ranked teams and you get up against some of these really good defenses that you might face, like in Ohio State, if you face him in the semifinal round and you face a guy like Arvell Reese and you maybe eat his lunch for an entire game, this could certainly boost his draft stock, and it's no one other than Monroe Freeling. This has been a guy that, kind of like you just mentioned, where he's played solid the entire year. Monroe Freeling has played incredible for Georgia the entire season. Last year was a bit shaky. People are kind of questionable of like, I don't know if Monroe Freeling is going to be good enough for this year at tackle. Yes, he is. He's been fantastic this entire year. Even when he was playing on 1 foot, this guy was hopping around, shutting down edge rushers and protecting his quarterback like his life depended upon it. But say that of he's still not mocked as like one of these first-round tackles. He's not one of the top 2 players at his position. He's really not even being talked about all that much if you really dive into it, about one of these top prospects at his position coming into this year's draft. Now, I have seen some things where he's probably a 2nd-round pick at the moment, or he's going to be a day 2 pick, early day 2 pick, one of those things. But I think Monroe Freeling has a ceiling of being a first-round draft pick. I really do think he could be that. And like I said, if he goes up against Ohio State and those edge rushers in that defense and he looks dominant, I mean, there's a world where everybody's like, who the heck is 57? We need to go back and watch that tape. And then they stumble into 12 games earlier in the season of, this guy's been doing this the entire year. We're just now noticing, even though he plays at the University of Georgia and they produce some of the best tackles every single year. So as much as we maybe don't want that to happen, because I think most people are hoping that Monroe Freeling returns for another year, because that'd be great, considering the number of pieces that you just lost off the offensive line last year at the NFL draft. I think that he could certainly benefit from this and continue that lineage.
Yeah, and by the way, all it takes for these type of guys to really spring in the draft is going up against a bona fide dude on the edge and holding them pretty, covering up. I remember Broderick Jones doing this in the national championship game against Will Anderson. Will Anderson was far and away one of the best edge rushers in the game that year. It was kind of like, they're going to send this kind of young guy out making his first start against Will Anderson. He's food. He obviously had a pretty decent game now, footwork-wise and all that stuff. Not great. But he stopped Will Anderson enough for Georgia to win a national title, and it skyrocketed his draft stock. So that could absolutely be something for Monroe Freeling this year. If you cross paths with one of these edge rushers, that could cause you a lot of issues.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in chat right now talking about Gabe Harris. There's a rumor going around that he has turf toe. I'll just to kind of give you guys what we know about that. Really don't know anything about that other than there is a rumor that Gabe Harris is dealing with turf toe. Don't know if he's going to miss a playoff game. I don't think that that's the expectation, but just kind of clearing it because I see everybody is really talking about that. So just kind of wanted to give you guys, if you're waiting for us to talk about it, there it is. We really don't have anything to give you or provide you any extra information. If Brooks was in the studio, I'm sure he would be able to dive into that real quick and give us an answer on that. But for us two right now, me and Kirby, we can't give you that right now. So that's all we know is that, yes, there is a rumor going around about that. We don't have any actual information on that, though. Who's your next player on the list?
Next player I have on my list is Oscar Delp, who didn't do anything bad to hurt his draft stock this year. Decided he was going to come back for another year after having what I think we can all agree was an underwhelming season in 2024. He's been magnificent for Georgia this year. He hasn't been Brock Bowers. That wasn't the baseline expectation or the goal for him. He's been a very, very good blocking tight end. He's been integral in the passing game at certain points. He has had very, very strong moments. I think that if Oscar Delp has a handful of games down the stretch where it's like, oh, this guy actually is everything that we thought he was, you could do your draft stock a ton of favors.
I saw one of these tweets the other day, and it was one of, and now, however you want to view these people, but it was one of these NFL mock draft accounts, and all they talk about is the NFL draft. And he put together this account. I don't want to say he, but this account put together a list of prospects where I have no idea where they're going to go in the draft. And Oscar Delp was on this list. And the account went on to talk about how they don't think that Oscar Delp has done a whole lot this year, where they think that he might even go in the 7th round. I'm here to tell you right now, Oscar Delp will not be going in the 7th round of the NFL draft. I think that we've learned, I mean, just off of these examples alone. Now, these guys not exactly fitting the narrative of they'll go higher than the 7th round, but still guys of like speaking to the importance of a guy like Oscar Delp who can do a little bit of both. Of John Fitzpatrick and Charlie Warner are two Georgia tight ends, former Georgia tight ends, who have made careers now in the NFL because they're really good at one thing, and that's blocking. Oscar Delp is really good at blocking. But the flip side of that is Oscar Delp can do a little bit of both. In fact, he's really good at both. And when he gets involved in the passing game and when the ball is in his hands, he usually makes some special things happen. I mean, typically when he gets the ball, it's an explosive play. They try and take big shots with this guy. So I think that people are going to realize that when they dive into Oscar Delp's tape of, oh, maybe this guy didn't put up electric numbers. This guy didn't put up Brock Bowers numbers, but this is a really, really good all-around tight end who can do a little bit of everything. And he is the modern-day tight end. Like, this is what you are looking for. And I think teams are going to stumble into that. And I think it's going to go higher than what people think. And what will happen, I know for a fact, is if Oscar Delp goes in the 4th round of the draft, immediately people are going to post screenshots of his stats reference and his box score and all this stuff and be like, really? This is who we drafted to be our next tight end? Little do they know, this is a highly impactful football player.
Yeah, I think Oscar Delp suffers from the unfortunate timing of you're the tight end that started after Brock Bowers.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. The guy that started after Joe Burrow didn't live up to the hype. The guy that started at running back after Herschel Walker, like any legend that comes through a college and then leaves, it's kind of like whatever it's going to be after that is underwhelming through no fault of your own. I don't think Oscar Delp has had an underwhelming career. I think Oscar Delp has just had to live in the shadow of Brock Bowers, which is unfortunate for him and unfair to some degree, but it is what it is. Brock Bowers is the greatest college football tight end to ever play football at the University of Georgia or at any collegiate school. So
now this was another fringe player. He kind of falls in the category of Monroe Freeling, where it's like Georgia fans are probably hoping that he comes back, but a couple playoff performances might really change that for him. He might end up getting a better grade than he does right now because of those performances. Raylan Wilson. Now, he's a player that's lived in the shadow a little bit of C.J. Allen. I mean, that guy's been the talk in all of college football as one of the best linebackers in the country. He's going to be drafted as such. I mean, top 60 pick. Seems like it's a lock there. Has been playing phenomenal football for Georgia this year. But Raylan Wilson has also been playing dang good football, and he's been highly impactful as well. And I think that he could be put in a spotlight where, yes, C.J. Allen's on the field with him, but people are also going to see, oh, this number 5 is really good too, which it makes sense because Georgia develops linebackers better than arguably anybody right now, thanks to Glenn Schuman, and Raylan Wilson is a product of that.
So I actually left Raylan off this list because of, things that he said on allegedly on social media and kind of the overarching attitude of this guy might come back next year. Now, if he has a outstanding playoff run and boosts his draft stock to the point where it's like, oh, it's probably not going to get any higher than this, he very, very well could leave and probably will leave. But I held off on that just because it seems right now on December 16th, 2025, that number 5 might be coming back, is kind of leaning that way. Not trying to break any news here. That's just rumors and reports and things that have been allegedly said on social media by him.
And that would be huge because if you were to lose C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson, we've kind of talked about on the show of potential players that Georgia might target in the transfer portal this offseason, and linebacker might have to be one of those. But if you return a guy like Raylan Wilson, that softens the blow there of having to lose too much depth at that position. And if you get Raylan Wilson back alongside Justin Williams and Chris Cole and Zayden Walker, and then you add in the likes of Nick Abrams, and you have A.J. Crew as well on top of that, and the Terrence Pinnock kid, and the Little John guy as well, like all of those pieces coming together, like maybe you don't have to spend money at the linebacker position in the transfer portal because you have a returning starter there, and then you get to unleash some of these younger guys, and you have other guys entering their third year as well. So that'd be a huge returning piece for Georgia's defense if Raylan does. But I mean, like we've seen before, I mean, things can change rather quickly. There's times where it looks like Georgia is going to get a player back, and it seems like everything's set in stone, and then all of a sudden they're headed elsewhere. I mean, it's not the exact same scenario, but there's a former Georgia player being sued for something like this. So just saying, like, sometimes it looks like that player is going to stay, and then things change rather quickly.
Yeah, that's definitely something to pay attention to. The next player I went with, the playoff always has this, where it's kind of this one guy that played well throughout the season, but had an explosion in the postseason. I think the biggest one I can remember is the Rose Bowl a couple of years back with, I believe it was Jackson Smith and Jigba in the Rose Bowl against, like, had an absolute just like, where did this come from? 300 yards. It was a Rose Bowl record. If Noah Thomas has one of these games where it's like, oh, this guy went 6 for 170, he's going to skyrocket up draft boards. And it's not like he's coming back. I think this is his last year of eligibility as is. So
good luck counting that.
Yeah,
I have no idea how you do that, but I do believe that this is his final year. But that's a great nomination because I didn't even have Noah Thomas on my list. That was an oversight by me. But you are exactly right, because Noah Thomas was brought in to help bring depth to the X wide receiver position at Georgia, and thank God they did, because Colby Young ends up getting hurt, and you've needed Noah Thomas down the stretch of the season. Now, has he put up the numbers that you probably hoped he would? No, but he's also had some big-time moments, and he's shown that he is capable of doing so. Didn't get to see him in the Georgia or the Alabama in the SEC championship game because he had some back spasms. Hopefully he's healthy and ready to go for the playoffs, but could be a very integral part of this offense down the stretch, and certainly rise up the boards.
And I feel like with wide receivers, you only need one of those games, maybe one or two where it's like, oh, yeah, they still got it. They're still that guy. Like, running backs kind of have to be fed throughout the season where you look at it, it's like, oh, they had 60 yards in this game or 30. Like, something's wrong here. As long as receivers have 2 or 3 of these, like, really big explosion games, and sometimes it only takes one where it's like, my God, who is this? Noah Thomas could very easily do that because he's got the explosiveness.
And if Georgia gets in a situation where this can happen too, I think you can throw his name in the mix too of Colby Young. And
that was also on my list.
You could also draw the comparison of what George Pickens did his final year at Georgia, where he tears his ACL in spring, misses the entire season. Then the national championship game rolls around. George Pickens makes a diving catch in the first half of the game, an explosive play for Georgia's offense and a massive play. And it was like, that's all everybody needed to see. It was like, oh, George is good. He's still George. We'll draft him in the second round. So it could be a situation like that of Colby Young has been really impressive at Georgia when he is healthy and when he's on the field, and gets injured, misses some time, don't have new tape on him or as recent tape as we would like. But then he shows up in the semifinal round, has a few big plays, and it's like, oh, there's Colby Young, the guy that we thought he was. He's good to go. He's healthy. That's all we needed to see. I think he could certainly be one of those as well.
The last one I have, actually I have 2 left on my list, but
I have 2 as well. I think one of them you probably also have. I don't know if you have this other one.
Go ahead with the one we think we have.
Dylan Bell?
Yeah,
Dylan Bell. Now, he's had a phenomenal season. A big bounce back year for Dylan Bell, considering what it was last year, because 2023, it was, wow, Dylan Bell is the future of this wide receiver room. This guy seems like he can play anything and everywhere, and he's unstoppable. And then 2024 happens, a bit of a step back. Doesn't look like the 86 that we saw the previous year, where he's a gadget guy where you can move all over the field. Now, a lot of that was due to the fact that he was kind of tied down to he's your X receiver, even though Dylan Bell is not an X receiver, or at least he's not your primary X receiver. And then this year happens, and there's Dylan Bell. There's the Dylan Bell that we know and love and that we thought he would be, and he's been making plays all year. He's been making 50-50 catches. He's been making explosive plays. He's been used around on end arounds a lot of the time. Like, they've been finding ways to get this guy involved, and obviously not one of these top receivers that you're going to draft in the first or second round. Probably more of a mid-round guy, because I think he will test pretty well. I think that he'll have some good measurables at the NFL Combine, considering how you would want to use him. But as impactful as he has been for Georgia's offense, there's certainly a world where he is the guy for this offense that is making clutch play after clutch play for them.
And I think what makes him so appealing is that he kind of does it all. And the comparisons are always Deebo Samuel, because of what Deebo Samuel was for the 49ers for so long, of where, yeah, we can line him up in running back and we can line him up in the slot. And if we have to, we can put him on the perimeter at the X position. And he's really good in screen game. He's really good in end arounds. He's really good at blocking. He's really good at everything. That's what kind of makes him so appealing. And if he can display that throughout this next however many games you have, that he's not just a speedster or something like that, that he's kind of this everything guy, there will be an NFL team that sees that and says, oh, there's tons of potential here. We need to get this on our roster.
I mean, and I don't want to classify him as just this and say that this is his ceiling, but I think there's a lot of value in this as well. Of Dylan Bell would be the perfect depth piece for any wide receiver room in the league. I mean, that is a guy that has played a lot of positions. I mean, heck, as Marion Campbell mentioned in the chat, he played running back for Georgia when they needed him to. They lined that guy up in the backfield and gave him carries, and he looked like the most explosive runner Georgia had at the time. Like, that's how good he filled in at that role. So as far as a guy that you can just move all over the field if you get in a bind or a pinch in the middle of a game, you can just throw Dylan Bell out there. There's a whole lot of value for him to bring that to any type of offense. And I think that's what teams are probably going to see at him during this process. Now, the final name that I had, Xavier McLeod.
Yeah.
Just a name that has continued to constantly fly under the radar. I think even by us. I think that we don't even talk about 94 as much as we probably should. I mean, he had the big play against Ole Miss. He played great snaps against Alabama, and that's been his entire season. Is Xavier McLeod has been playing great snaps. He's been putting in good minutes for Georgia, and anytime he's out there, he's doing his job and he's doing it well. And Kristen Miller is the star of the show in that interior defensive line room, and Jordan Hall was playing great up until he got hurt, and now you had to ask a little bit more of him, and his load has gotten a little lightened because of Griffin and because how he's been great, Elijah Griffin, how good he's been. But Xavier McLeod has just been a good football player, and I think that what you've seen from these Georgia defensive linemen and how teams view them is there's value in that. People recognize that. Draft scouts recognize that, because I would think it's safe to say that we all thought that Tyron Ingram-Dawkins went to the draft a little prematurely.
Yep.
Probably thought he could have stayed another year and it would have benefited him. But he gets drafted, and I think it was the 5th round by the Minnesota Vikings, and now he's playing snaps for them right now, and he's being impactful for that defense. I think Xavier McLeod is that. I think it's just another Georgia defensive lineman that played great his entire career, probably wasn't talked about enough. But if he continues to show out in the playoffs, maybe the right set of eyes get on him, and everybody's like, this is a guy that you need to be paying attention to on the late day 2, early day 3.
And he's a guy that you're not going to increase your draft stock by making the wow plays and the, oh my God, this, and this, like Jalen Carter type draft stock increase. He's going to be increasing his draft stock by just continuously putting on good tape for the next however many games, and stock and analysts and scouts coming back and going, wait a minute, what's this 94 kid doing? Yeah, we're looking at 52 right now, but 94 is winning a lot of reps, and this is really impressive.
Yep.
That's where he's going to increase his draft stock. So
completely agree.
The last one I have, I didn't want to put it on this list because I don't think he's going to increase his draft stock most here. I think he does it in the combine. But Dalen Everett. Dalen Everett has found a way the last year and a half to kind of make big plays in big moments. Last year in both Texas games, he was huge. This year in the SEC championship, just always seeming to be in the right spot at the right time in the right moment. If he has another one of these, like, I think of what Dalen Everett could do where a Darian Kendrick type game, where in the Orange Bowl you have 2 interceptions. You were kind of quiet all throughout the season. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy's got 2 interceptions in the Orange Bowl game. He's a defensive MVP. Dalen Everett could very, very much do this and increase his draft stock significantly. However, his biggest jump will take place when he runs the 40, when he does all the cone drills, because he is going to test that well. I mean, his arms are long. He's the prototypical cornerback build right now.
Now, I made a tweet about Dalen Everett today, and I said basically exactly that, where I saw that there was a mock draft, and it had Dalen Everett going in the 3rd round to the Atlanta Falcons. But I quote tweeted and said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Dalen Everett is not going to be available in the 3rd round. That guy is going to go to the NFL Combine, and as soon as he crosses the finish line in the 40-yard event, that guy is going to be a top 60 pick lock. Now, it was met with a lot of positive reactions, but there are still people out here that don't think that Dalen Everett is a good football player or a good cornerback. And I have no idea what you have been watching for the last 2 years. And what it was met with is the typical of, this is how I understand you have no idea that a DB is doing his job, because it was met with, well, Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones are better. Dalen Everett isn't ever making plays. Yeah, because he's doing his job. And that's not to demean Ellis Robinson or DeMello Jones. They are playing great football right now. They are great players and are going to continue to be great players and be in the same position that Dalen Everett is in right now. But there's a reason why those guys are around to play more often than number 6, and it's because teams do not want to face number 6. They don't want to test number 6. They don't want to go after him. They want to try and go after the other guys. And Georgia's in a fortunate position where it's, Okay, you don't want to go after Dalen Everett. Well, good luck trying to test Ellis Robinson or DeMello Jones right now. So those guys are making plays because they're really good football players. But Dalen Everett isn't making the big time plays that you're seeing those other guys make because he's doing his freaking job.
Stat watching in cornerbacks is sometimes helpful of, oh, wow, this guy has 5 picks on the year. That's great. Most of the time, if you're not getting targets, it's because you're a good cornerback.
Yeah.
Keely Ringo made way more plays than Kamari Lassard in 2022. That's because no one was throwing to Kamari Lassard because Kamari Lassard had shit locked down. No disrespect to Keely Ringo. He was a great cornerback for Georgia, but you could watch where offenses felt like they could get yards on which side of the cornerbacks. Most balls were thrown to Keely Ringo. Now, it resulted in him making some great plays, but they were not testing number 3. They were going after number 5.
Yeah, and I think people would say that as great as Keely Ringo was at Georgia and all that stuff, like Kamari Lassiter is a better corner than Keely Ringo, and Dalen Everett is a better corner than Keely Ringo. And Keely Ringo was drafted in the 3rd round partially because he ran a 4.38. Dalen Everett's probably going to run a sub 4.4, and he's going to have better tape. That guy's a top 60 lock. I'm telling you guys, it's going to happen.
Now, we both left off a certain player on our players that could increase their draft stock, and I feel like there's a reason why. I didn't put Zachariah Branch as someone who's going to increase.
What more can he do?
And that was kind of where I'm at, as well as I feel like Zachariah Branch has shown you what he is as a player. And this sounds negative when I say it. There's nothing where it's like you're not going to see another level. He is incredible with the ball in his hands. He makes really great plays. His route running is superb. He's a possession receiver that you do not want to see on special teams. You do not want to see him with the ball in his hand. That said, I also think that there are some physical limitations as far as size goes that's going to ding him a little bit in the draft when he gets to the combine. So I personally don't think that there's anything more Zachariah Branch needs to do to cement what he is as a player and let you know that, hey, this guy deserves a top 90 eval, even though there might be some areas where he's undersized. His ball carrier vision and his ability to make a difference in special teams and in the quick game is going to make him a professional for a very long time.
Like the only thing that you could really ask to see from Zachariah, that like the last box that you want to check off, is see if he could be a deep field threat and he could track the ball, but that's not what you want him doing. That's not the responsibility that you want to put upon him. You want to ball out now, get him the ball now, and force everybody to try and tackle this guy. And it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. He's proved it every single time this year of he's going to make a positive play every single time. But that would be like the last thing that you need to see of. Maybe that dials something up for him, and it's like, oh, yep, he can even do that. Okay, this guy, we feel very comfortable drafting in the top 3 rounds. But, I mean, he'll run well at the combine. The tape has been great this year. People are going to love what they see from him, and that's why I didn't put him on my list, is because it's like I have no idea what else this guy needs to do, because he can return the ball and he can make things happen after the catch.
You know who else can boost their stock up?
Who's that?
You, the viewer, by going to Rowback and getting some fire-ass threads. I've officially run out of it all. I'm living out of a suitcase for the last month here. I think Brooks had some on at the state championship game, but Rowback is one of the premier sponsors that we have. They are making some outstanding clothes. The hoodie that I got is incredible. I know that you were rocking the vest a few days ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be rocking my Rowback collared shirt and probably the quarter zip when we go to College Station. So very, very fond of Rowback's work.
Yeah, promo code FILM gets you 20% off over there. I mean, that is a great deal right there. And that is why I don't have my Rowback stuff on right now, Kirby, because I got to save it for the weekend. We got big places to be this weekend out there in College Station. I got to be looking my best. So I got to make sure that the Rowback is clean. It's ready to go, packed in the bag. Can't dirty that up before we go on our big trip. So got to make sure that I have that. So shout out to our friends over at Rowback. Again, promo code FILM, 20% off any purchase. And it's not just the first-time users either. You can plug that promo code in. If you're a second-time user, third-time user, whatever it is, that promo code is made available to you. Again, 20% off, promo code FILM.
What a deal.
All right, moving on to one of our next segments. You know, not too long ago, we sat on here and we talked about how Glenn Schuman isn't being thrown up for any of these jobs, these opening head coaching jobs, like not even an inkling of, hey, maybe you need to keep an eye on for Glenn Schuman in this for this position or anything like that. But another head coaching position became open, the Michigan job that is, and Fox Sports is the outlet that did this. They released a top 5 rankings list of prospects that you need to keep an eye on. Glenn Schuman came in at number 3.
I hope Glenn Schuman doesn't take this job.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that we're kind of getting to a point where you start looking around at the state of that program and asking, why would anyone want that job? Glenn Schuman is more than deserving of taking a bona fide top 15 head coaching job. He has earned it. He's proved that he's a defensive mastermind. Why would you want to go from a very stable head coaching program, all of this, a stable head coach, stable organization, to the Georgia Bulldogs that, sure, has some issues? Every program will, to the dumpster fire that is the Michigan Wolverines just because of the title change. I hope he doesn't. And by the way, let's just look at the last 4 Michigan head coaches. Sharon Moore, caught cheating. Jim Harbaugh, cheating scandal. Brady Hoke, kind of left on bad terms, was a bad coach. And then Rich Rodriguez left with those sanctions. And after that, like, you don't leave Michigan a very loved and respected figure, history states, over the last, 17 years. So that's kind of a worry too, is if Glenn Schuman does go here, maybe he is the guy to turn this culture around, to turn the program around, to make that something where it's like Michigan is built up to being the Michigan men respected brand. But I don't want to have to see him try to go through the mud and fix everything that's there. So I hope that Glenn Schuman gets the job he wants one day. I don't think he should want this job.
Yeah, it would be a little weird for Glenn Schuman to kind of, as Chat's mentioning, Shane Daniel kind of mentioning, like, is Schuman going to do what Kirby did with Saban, where he just waits and waits and waits and waits until the perfect job becomes available? It does kind of seem like that's what Schuman has been doing. It wouldn't make sense for him to wait around all this time and then take a job at Michigan where the program seems to be spiraling, where it seems like the AD is inevitably going to be fired at some point, it seems like. And it's just in complete shambles for him to wait that long and wait for the perfect job and ultimately take that one. I don't see that being the route that he takes, but we also knew that eventually so many people are going to get hired and so many jobs are going to come open that eventually Glenn Schuman has to be mentioned in some of these. And it took the Michigan job, like, where it looked like all the dust had settled in the coaching carousel, and then the Michigan job pops open. It's like, well, now Glenn Schuman might be an answer here. But like I said, he was the 3rd name on the list. The top name was Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers, former Michigan coach. That one kind of makes a little bit of sense. A guy that has ties there already. He was there with Harbaugh, all those things. That one kind of makes sense. I would imagine that would probably be their top option. But needless to say, Glenn Schuman might be a guy that starts being mentioned in this job. It might be mentioned in the head coaching search, because if Kalen DeBoer is indeed staying, if Kenny Dillingham is indeed staying at Arizona State, you're kind of running out of options. And Glenn Schuman might be the best option, the best next man up, especially if Mentor says that he doesn't want the job anymore. So just kind of being floated around, not saying that Schuman is indeed going to take that job, or I think he's definitely going, but now more so of like, hey, we're kind of wondering, where's the Glenn Schuman love in all of this? Now he's officially being mentioned. What do you count over there?
So Kirby Smart was the DC under Nick Saban for 8 years. He spent 9 years working under Saban at Alabama. Glenn Schuman is currently on year 10 with Kirby on staff, but is in year 4 or 5 of being a DC. So he's been there kind of the same amount of time in the assistant role, but keep in mind, Glenn Schuman also is fairly young. Like, Kirby Smart had a lot of stops before he was the Bama DC. Glenn Schuman has not had as many stops before he's the DC. I think you get a few more years of Schuman before the right job comes out. In Michigan, I think he would probably agree that's not the right job right now. That thing is not tailor-made to succeed. It's not a turnkey operation. Not that you need that, but you're going to have to rebuild the entire engine before you get that thing up and running.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be a lot on his plate. And for a guy that has not been a head coach at the college level before, that would be a lot to take on top of everything being brand new to you. And it would be a gamble, in my opinion, to say that's the perfect job for me. That's the first jump that I should make from the University of Georgia. And I don't think Glenn Schuman will do that. I think it's more so, again, like, Glenn Schuman eventually has to be put on one of these lists. We're going to do it because who the heck else are we going to put on one of these lists? All right, Kirby. Final segment of the show tonight. And this is an interesting question that you proposed to me. And so we figured that we would bring it out to the chat and also answer it ourselves. Is this the most enjoyable season for Georgia fans in a while?
So it's been something to talk about and something very fun. to watch as a fan. Obviously, we are members of the media and we try to stay as unbiased as possible, but we both grew up Georgia fans. We both
We have degrees
we
from the University
graduate
of
from the
Georgia.
University of Georgia, and we bleed red and black. There's no denying that. I think the year that would rival this most was the excitement that you felt during the 2021 season, because it was like, oh, from jump you realized how good this team really was, and they had a lot of really big games, and there were a lot of really big moments, and there were a lot of fun parts of that. But there were also some really big lows and a lot of controversy. I think people forget how tense the JT Daniels Stetson Bennett quarterback situation was. When Stetson Bennett took the field against UAB, there was a scoff amongst the fan base of, here goes Kirby again. We got a perfect opportunity to start a 5-star in Carson Beck, and we're going back to Stetson Bennett, who in 2020 didn't play necessarily that great. There was tensions back and forth the whole time of, yeah, we're playing good right now, but the offense feels handicapped. Anytime Stetson Bennett would miss a throw, miss a pass, it was get JT Daniels back out here. Don't get me started on what was going on at the SEC championship game, where it's like, this is Kirby Smart needs to be fired if JT Daniels doesn't play. So as fun as that season was, as much as I enjoyed it, it will hold a special place in my heart because it's the first year I lived in Athens, and to see that happen, there was a lot of tension there. This season's had tension too. Obviously, the Alabama loss earlier in the season and Gunnar Stockton may or may not be the guy, but I can't think back on a year in my personal experiences where you've had this much, man, that was just a fun game. You broke Tennessee's heart in Knoxville. You ripped out Florida's heart in a last-minute drive in Jacksonville. Both last times you're going to play in those venues for a handful of years. They're not going back to Neyland until 2027, 2028.
Yeah, one of them years.
You're not going back to Jacksonville till 2028 as well. You extended lengthy win streaks against Auburn, Georgia Tech, Kentucky in some rather exciting games. Now, I know that there were some moments where it's like, man, we're not playing the way we want to, but you got wins over rivals. You won a shootout and a thriller against Ole Miss. Like, one of the best games we've seen take place in Sanford Stadium in a long time. Just back and forth offensive prowess, defense bowing its back and standing tall in the fourth quarter. Destroyed Arch Manning in Texas in the final SEC game you had. And then obviously you got revenge against Alabama in the SEC championship. Like, this has been such a fun season of games to watch, not to mention it hasn't really been plagued by quarterback controversies. Yeah, there have been some people who go, oh, I don't think Gunnar Stockton's the guy. That's gotten shut down fairly quickly. Everyone loves Gunnar Stockton. Not everyone loves Stetson Bennett. Not everyone loved Jake Fromm. Not everyone loved Carson Beck. I'm willing to say probably 90% of the Georgia Bulldogs fan base sees 14 on Saturdays and goes, that's my quarterback. That's the guy I want leading my team. And especially with all the drama that's going on in the rest of this college football world, seeing Gunnar Stockton just be a guy who loves playing football for the University of Georgia has been so refreshing to watch. It's also hasn't been super frustrating in certain instances of, defense didn't play as much we wanted, as well as we wanted last year, but there hasn't been a position group where it's like, God, this is hard to watch. We know what last year's wide receiver room was. We know that certain aspects of certain years where it's like, man, the running back room's kind of flat this year. Ooh, the DBs aren't playing this well. Yeah, there were frustrations in the secondary earlier on the season. They're playing arguably some of their best football right now. So it's not like you can point to and say, man, this position group just sucks. And by the way, the OC, the biggest crux of it all, has been dialed. Georgia fans love nothing more than to talk about and dream about firing the offensive coordinator because they hate him. You did it with Todd Monken, believe it or not, before he won the Natty. You did it with Mike Bobo. We know the history of Mike Bobo. It feels like the hate towards Mike Bobo has at least extinguished. Now, he's not getting the love he deserves, but overall, this season has been so enjoyable in that you show up on Saturdays, you watch a really, really good football game, and then you walk away going, I love this team. I love all of this team. I don't hate certain aspects of it like we've seen in years past.
I think you hit on a key word there that really plays into this of refreshing. I feel like that's the best way that I would describe this season, because a lot of the feelings that Georgia fans have going into this year, and really a big reason why, not because Gunnar isn't a great quarterback or hasn't been playing great this year. He is that. He has been that this year. But Gunnar Stockton has been a great sight for Georgia fans because of what last year was, because of what they went through last year. And really, this entire team, it's been very refreshing to watch them. I mean, and the best way that I can describe how this season has felt is how excited I get, one, to watch them, but also, two, to come back in here on Monday mornings and watch them again, because they're just a fun team to break down because they're doing everything right. It looks like a Georgia defense that you should be watching. It looks like there's a quarterback out there that gives a daggum, you know what, about the G, all those things. And the wide receiver room for what it was last year, seeing a guy like Zachariah Branch out there, I mean, holy cow. I mean, that is just something you almost don't even believe. Watching Colby Young play the way that he did earlier this year, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what it was supposed to look like. This is what it was supposed to be. Nate Frazier developing, Chauncey Bowen's developing, like the offensive line, watching these young freshmen ball out on both sides of the ball. I mean, it has just been such a rewarding, refreshing, and fun season. It has certainly been fun. Now, I would say that the 2021 season, that was probably the most fun that you'll have as a Georgia fan because it was like, oh, we actually might have something cooking here. And then you ended up and you won a national title. But the 2022 season, it was, we're just way better than everybody else. It's very clear that we're just way better. This season has been fun because of all the moments that you've had, the players that are in this program, the way that these guys are playing, the fire, passion, and energy that they bring every single Saturday. It's just all been a joy the entire time. I agree with you. This has been one of the most memorable and enjoyable seasons that I can remember for a little while.
And I think that you kind of get these every few, like the 2017 season was so much fun to watch because you saw the culmination of what a Kirby Smart culture team was, where it's power nose football and you've got two of the greatest running backs in college football history and a team that loves playing for one another. And that, culture lasted through the next phase of seasons until, you had a slump in 2020. And then obviously 2021, it happened again. You went through two natties and you kind of had a slump the last year. Now you're rebuilding that culture again. And it feels like you are once again watching this refoundationing of what Georgia football culture is under Kirby Smart. And they're doing new wrinkles to it and things that seem very small on the holistic scale, but also matter a bunch. The bracelets and night games have been so much fun.
Right.
The striped Sanford, the little tweaks and things that they do here and there, the way this team plays, the fire, passion, and energy emphasis, all of these little things that when you talk about Georgia football as a whole don't seem that big, but it's made just enough of a difference that you feel like you are watching what the next 3 to 4 years of Georgia football culturally is going to look like. The players are going to come and go. Things are going to change, obviously, but we have seen that new refoundationing is what we talked about you needed last year because that championship DNA, those players that set up everything in 21 and 22, they were gone. That culture eroded. You need to set something up new. So seeing something be rebuilt to the success that it has been so much fun to watch. And by the way, the rewards, like we said, are some really, really great football games that have turned into some incredible memories. Like London Humphrey's 4th and 6 will live on forever, especially if this season goes on the way. The Josh McCray 4th and 2 first down run against Ole Miss, one of the most underrated plays of the season. The punch out against Auburn, Chauncey Bowen's run against Florida, Zachariah Branch on the SEC championship screen. Like all of these plays, the block punt, there's been so many great moments to point back to that I think of 21. And yeah, there were great moments, but it's the Chris Smith interception, Brock Bowers going off against Vandy, the block punt against Arkansas, and then the playoff. Like there was a lot of in between where it's like, yeah, they're just going to beat the hell out of them today. Missouri's not going to be able to do anything. We're going to beat the hell out of Charleston Southern, and Jordan Davis is going to get a rushing touchdown. Stuff like that. Like there were great moments in 21, but they didn't feel as impactful as they do this year.
And you're talking about laying the foundation this season. This is Kirby Smart's 10th season. This is typically around the time where people are like, oh, the message is getting stale. The run is over. I mean, this guy is capped out on what he could potentially be as a head coach because you can only say the same things and do the same things for so long, and then the well runs dry. And we're talking about Kirby Smart in year 10 at a program that he's won 2 national titles at, finding a way to freshen up the message, relay the foundation at his own program, get people excited about it, get his players to believe in it, and actually go out there and do it and execute it to the tune of potentially winning a 3rd national title this year. You don't get those very often. Coaches like that don't come around very often. And it's been special to watch this team and get to see what they've been able to accomplish, despite the fact of how hairy some of the moments might have looked at moments this year. Here you are with one loss, with a first-round bye in the playoff in the Sugar Bowl yet again, potentially going to, again, play for a national title.
And I think, again, it solidifies why Kirby Smart is such a great coach because we've seen him I don't want to say rebuild because it acts like, it was you had to go through an NFL-style rebuild. We've seen him create new cultures 3 times now in a decade of coaching. We've seen other schools and other programs where the message is very clearly gone stale. Dabo Swinney does not seem to have any momentum in the Clemson fan base and the Clemson program right now. And it's kind of saying the same things that he said the last 10 years of, hey, we're little old Clemson. No one believes in us. We have these morals that we follow, and we don't go in the transfer portal and all of that stuff. That has fallen stale. The sport has passed him behind. Kirby Smart has gone through multiple philosophy changes, multiple belief changes, all while staying true to himself. It's been very fun to watch. It's been, dare I say, Nick Saban-esque. It's why he's one of the greatest college football coach in college football right now. It's why he's viewed as the best. It's why he's kind of the elder statesman of the sport. And it's why he's going to go down as one of the greatest figures in college football history because of his ability to adapt with the times.
Absolutely. Now, before we end tonight's show, I do want to make sure that we hit our super chubs. We had a couple of them coming during the show, and I want to make sure that we hit those before we conclude tonight's show. So here we go. This comes from Andrew Mason. He says, I want a G5 conference to move to 20 teams, to 10 teams divisions. Each team plays 9 conference games in division. One division is upper and one is lower. Top 3 and lower. Basically, I think his warning is like how a relegation league, how you have a lower division and an upper division. So 3 in the lower division plays bottom 3 for relegation, champ of upper, prop in the playoff. So thank you for that. That could potentially be an idea that we stumble into. Who knows? It might come to that in college football. Reality Witness says, good work, boys. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I do want to show some gratitude to you guys because Kirby and I have done a handful of these shows without Brooks where it's just me and Kirby. And, you know, it wasn't always like this where, I mean, we're holding over 400 people right now in a live show. I mean, I can remember the first time that it was just me and Kirby. And, you know, we're sitting in here and we're typically holding numbers that we do, and it's below 100. And that's kind of frustrating when you're sitting here believing in you think you're doing a great thing, you're putting on a good product, and it's not producing the results that you'd hope to. But I can't tell you how appreciative we are of you guys for sticking with us tonight, even though Brooks isn't here, the guy that brings all of the knowledge to you guys, one of the biggest reasons why you guys tune in every night. So thank you to you guys for sticking around with us for 2 hours tonight, like a typical show. It means a whole hell of a lot to us. So again, thank you to you guys for sticking with us. And we will be back tomorrow night, regular scheduled program, the last show of the week before we hit the road to College Station to catch a Texas A&M Miami playoff game. Excited for that, Kirby?
I'm very excited for that. And I also want to thank the chat because it is very nice to know that, you know, people aren't logging in going, oh, Brooks isn't there. I'm not watching this shit. They're just logging out. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving us the hour, maybe 2 hours that you've watched for however long you have. So I appreciate that very much, as Jwill said. And I'm looking forward to the College Station trip.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Before you leave, though, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for all the engagement. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.